Because you've got powerful legs. How did you get the physique? Was it gym or how did you get the physique?
I've always been...
She's actually not got powerful legs. Do you shower in your dressing room? Do you have a shower on the day of a fight or not? Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
I'm sure no one will mind.
Move him out of here, Darren.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing nutters messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump. You know what I'm saying?
Well, hello everybody and welcome to the 523rd edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host Steve Wellings and joining me on the call we have Andy Patterson and Matty Di Gialinardo going live on YouTube from 8 o'clock every Sunday evening. The Patreon RSS feed updates shortly after the show concludes. Hello to everybody listening through the week on Spotify, SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to leave a review on the podcast player of your choice, whatever you're listening to this on right now. Throughout the entire month of May. Are we on May? Yes, we are the 14th of May. Nothing less than 5 stars is acceptable. It was quite a fun weekend, actually. I enjoyed it. But a Zhanibek, Alimkhanuly coming up later on. The BT card on Friday night as well. Some great scraps, a few in the ring as well to keep us occupied. Lomachenko against Devin Haney preview coming up later on. We will start, though, with the controversy in the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas. The Chelsea Ballroom, Andy, sounds like quite an entertaining place to be. It all kicked off, as I was telling you before the podcast started. A weird thing happened when Barroso got knocked down at the beginning of the 9th round. I said to Dominic Henry as well, I'm not a Tony Weeks fan, as regular listeners will know. And I thought to myself, here we go. This Homer ref, Tony Weeks, is inserting himself into the narrative again, protecting the fight favourite. That didn't look like a knockdown to me.
Yeah,
I hope he doesn't ruin this fight. Hope he doesn't ruin things. And then 90 seconds later, he's busy ruining things. He's jumping in. He's calling off the fight. Barroso was flagging a bit, but he was throwing back bombs. He could have turned that fight around, man. That was a bullshit decision.
It was that, mate. We all know boxing's corrupt, but that's utterly shameful, to be fair. That's up there with, I'm trying to think, the most recent discussion stoppage I can think off the top of my head is probably Big Enzo against Oval Mackenzie. Anything else comes to mind at this point, it doesn't. But that's just, I mean, Barroso's had everything. He's set up to fail, isn't he? He's set up to fail. He was set up to lose his fight regardless. And he was a patsy. Romero had the belt put on the line for him. Everything was all put into his fucking favour, and they robbed him blind in front of everybody. The whole world saw it. It's pretty much unanimous. You can take our opinions away if you want. We're nobody in boxing. You want to go and read the comments with people involved in the sport, guys who are in the ring, women who are in the ring, trainers galore. They're all saying the same thing. What the fuck was that? What was that? That is one of the worst stoppages, as I said, for a very long time. Weeks needs investigated for that, mate. There's no other way about it. It should be overturned. Romero, look, I know he's entertaining with the mouth. He can be entertaining in the ring when he cuts loose, especially when he starts landing heavy shots.
He's a bit rubbish, isn't he? Really?
Yeah, but that's it, mate. You know, he was getting beaten that fight. All hands down, he was getting beat. He was getting beat to the punch. He was very wary of the shots. He was flinching on feints. It was just awful, mate. And then he cuts loose, and all of a sudden he seems to have the guy. You know, not so much. Wouldn't say. Well, maybe he was hurt. Maybe he was rocked a wee bit. But he had his eyes on the guy when it came to that ninth round when they were all throwing punches. I think Romero landed one out of the. I don't know how many punches he threw, but he landed one decent shot. The second one, or the first one before that, was possible like a kind of right hand push, and Barroso had his eyes on him this whole time. As I say, apart from maybe that rally in the ninth, Romero did absolutely nothing. The knockdown, in my opinion, was bullshit. It was a push. I know a punch landed probably about 3 or 4 seconds beforehand, but the actual follow-up looked like it was a kind of push down. So that gets counted, unfortunately. It says he went to work and threw caution to the wind. He was obviously kind of wary of Barroso's power. But Romero just doesn't strike me as a durable fighter, to be fair. Gets caught way too much. Chin in the air like a meerkat. You know, his reign's not going to last much longer, to be fair. This gimmick that he's got is going to end pretty soon. Pretty soon. I know, mate. What can you call it at this point? That was just absolutely disgraceful. You know, the thing as well is it's not Romero's fault at the end of the day. I know I'm kind of shitting on him a wee bit there for how he fights that, but it's not his fault. You know, he's had potentially a legit win taken away from him, like, i.e. a proper stoppage, or Barroso's been robbed of the chance of making a comeback. Or he was in the fight there. Sorry, he could have went to this.
He was up on stopped. 2 or 3 cards at the time.
Yeah, he could have got stopped. He could have got stopped the next round. He could have seen out the fight. We'll never know. Right, we'll never know. And now, as I say, Romero's got to carry it a bit now that he's being handed a gift. Basically, I'm just disgusted, mate. You know, we've all watched this sport now. We all love it, I suppose. I've watched it for over 30 years. That the travesty of that there last night, man, is why people can't just simply trust. You know, just kind of trust the sport, basically. I mean, look what's been happening these last few weeks. That you had the fucking president of a title body moonlighting as a commissioner, a video analyst, and a fucking judge, all in the space of 60 seconds, making sure scorecards were altered. You know, and we've got at least 3 instances there last night of 3 separate cards of absolute shocking officiating, if it's the referee or it's the judging. Right? We keep saying it. We've spoken about it at length for years, and here we are. We're still doing the same thing, and it's like anything else. In the future, when you see the names of officials appear on cards, Tony Weeks, Robert Bird, Terry O'Connor, Ian John Lewis, Arthur McCanty, Lou Moret, Lawrence Cole, Dave Moretti, the Italian, Baravecchio, Louis Pabon. If you see these names come up, you know there's a real chance of some shady shit going down there, and that's absolutely. That's all I can say, mate.
I'm with you, Andy. I'm kind of at my wit's end when it comes to this, because I was thinking, like, just trying to go back like the last 6 weeks, and feel free to add as I kind of go through. I'm thinking about the things I've seen that I thought were either corrupt or just fucking incompetence. You know, the end result's the same, so who cares? I'm going to go back 6 weeks. About 6 weeks ago was Benavidez against Plant. And Kenny Bayless and whatever the fuck he was doing in that fight, which was just madness. You know, I think he's the only thing that saves Caleb Plant from the stoppage at the end of the day. Then you had the horrible scorecards for Colbert against Valenzuela. That was truly awful. You had the fuckery in the Mexico card going on with them changing the judges for Sparks against Valenzuela. You had Suleiman directing them that was a knockdown in a fight. You had the robbery of Michael Soro in Russia.
Robbery on that card. Tischenko got a gift on that card against other French boy.
Yeah, add to it. This is last 6 weeks. I know there's more.
But it's like we're out here every other week, Steve, complaining about some sort of officiating, right? And I know that it's a century-old sport, and there's been like shady shit being going on, over those 100 years. But here we are, 2023, and it's still the same problems, still the same faces, and it's still the same bollocks. It's always the B side that gets shafted. it doesn't matter if Barroso gets beat. He's 40-year-old. He's had his time. He can now piss off now, eh? But we'll forget about him now, eh? That's the problem.
I think that's wrong though too. I mean, here's a guy. I mean,
know.
he's been sitting on that ranking fighting once a year, whatever. But you have this 40-year-old guy who looks like he's a survivor of 3 civil wars, fucking in there, just big outmanning Raleigh. And he got caught. I'm not gonna say he didn't get buzzed at some point in that 9th round. But, I mean, he absolutely got screwed. And he's from Venezuela. I mean, you're robbing this guy from a third world country of another good payday, which God knows how far it could go for him, his family, and those around them. And that's why it's even more infuriating is that they're fucking with these people's livelihoods. And at some point in time, I'm sitting here thinking, how much money do and I mean, I know you guys stream things, and I mean, we get into that, but that's beside the point. But hold on,
we do buy stuff as well, though, mate. But we do buy.
Yeah, I know. I know. But how much money I put in? I got the Tank Garcia pay-per-view. I got the Canelo pay-per-view. I'm going to be getting the Haney-Lomachenko one that's coming up, which thank God is only $60 compared to what the other ones have been. And then I have a subscription to Fight TV. I have a subscription to Pro Box. I have a DAZN subscription. I carry an ESPN Plus subscription. Also, I could watch boxing. At one point in time, am I just being fucking grifted? I'll tell you what, Fight TV did great for me the other day, Steve. I watched some bare knuckle fights on my Fight TV subscription, and they weren't as talented. I'm not going to say the talent level was there, but the ones that went to decision, they were legit. One of them was kind of debatable, but I could see it either way. There were fights where both people went down. They were competitive. There were some good knockouts. Fuck it. I'd just rather watch something that I know is on the up and up. Talent be damned. It's kind of like if you thought the NFL was brutally corrupt and you're like, fuck it, I'll just watch the XFL from now on. I'm done with the NFL. And it's, we'll see what fucking happens here this next week. I have a hunch that Cameron could get absolutely fucking robbed coming up on Saturday. We'll see.
Are you saying, Matty, you're going to start getting into women's bare knuckle boxing, chicks who can actually dig?
There was one on that card, and that was the least entertaining of the card, other than the really hot Southeast Asian gal who she lost, but she was kind of like stripping on the way to the ring, and she was pretty hot, so I appreciated that. But she did lose to just a fucking beanpole. But yeah, I don't know. It's very, very frustrating. And it's like, at what point in time are we just being grifted? And it's all these people and they just have a game. They're making money off of it. And the only way that you really silence them is by knocking out your opponent.
Every weekend, boxing shafts you, Matty. And to be honest, I'm quite enjoying it.
It's making me very sad lately, Steve. Making me very, very disappointed.
Let Me Cook says Rolly Romero is WBA super lightweight champion and also previously held the WBA interim lightweight title. Rolly Romero is the face of boxing. He did make a good point in the chat, though. Rolly's picking up that belt for a reason, so Ryan Garcia can come and take it off him. Regarding his record, Andy, you kind of touched upon it there as well. I mean, it is piss poor. He lost to that Jackson Martinez. Everybody saw it. He stepped up in class against Jonta Davis, fiddled about for 3 rounds, and then he got absolutely iced in the 5th round. Struggled against Barroso, was down on the cards, was struggling before the referee bailed him out. And they kept saying last night his best win was against Anthony Yiggett. And I'm thinking, Anthony Yiggett, who lost to Keyshawn Davis in his last fight? It's not building a great body of evidence for Romero altogether, is it really?
No, another thing as well, mate, that's him up at 140 now, and he doesn't look like he's going to be able to handle with the bigger guys. I mean, he got outboxed, outpunched, and basically out-hustled for the best part of that fight against a 40-year-old guy. So he just looks slow. He looks undecided. He doesn't know what he was doing there, I don't think, for parts of that fight. As I said, when he cuts loose and that, he can be dangerous, and he can catch you with a heavy shot, and it can be fucking lights out. But yeah, it's not a great body of evidence at this point, and it's calling out Ryan Garcia. I mean, sure, why not? But if there's any justice in the world, man, he should be getting that belt taken off him anyway. And that result, basically changed because. And another thing as well, is what I was going to say as well. Jim Gray said after the interviews finished that they'd actually asked Tony Weeks and the commission to come in front of the cameras, and they refused it. So
There's no accountability.
Exactly.
There is no one to hold them
but
accountability.
They're always going to refuse it, aren't they? Because they want to get their story straight and all that.
So the commission makes money by having to exist because of having these events. So they have to kiss ass to the sanctioning bodies who push forth these fights. And then they have to have officials who are going to be able to do what the sanctioning bodies and everyone need to be able to keep everyone making money. It's at some point in time, it just seems like a fucking pyramid scheme, and we're just getting fucked on it. It's not like it's necessarily scripted or anything like that, but it basically fucking is at this point in time. And I mean, and if you can guess what the script is, fuck it, man. I think you can actually make a lot of money on it at the end of the day. But it's just insane what they're doing to people with this sport, and how they're fucking about these titles in the history of a great sport. Raleigh Romero has no fucking capable resume at 140 pounds, and he gets a fucking title shot in his first go up there after getting sparked fucking clean. What in the fuck is wrong with this shit? And it's all willy-nilly. And then you got people that just slave for fucking years and years trying to get an opportunity, maybe with an undefeated record, maybe getting fucked on the cards, and you look at the record and you wouldn't know that. They're up 20-3. No, they won those 3 fights, and they got to keep trudging away just to get these fucking opportunities, while some fucking shitbag with 14 fights like Raleigh Romero gets a goddamn title shot in a weight class he has no fucking point in against a late replacement opponent who's 40 fucking years old and looks weathered. He looks like he's been wandering the fucking Sahara, with the fucking Jews, with Moses for 40 goddamn years. His whole life has been spent just following fucking Moses, saying, I'm going to take you to the promised land. And then God comes and he fucking says, no, Tony Weeks is in charge of this shit. You're not getting to the promised land, you stupid fuck. And he whacks him with a fucking tablet in the head, and he leaves him in the goddamn Nile River to bleed. That's what they did to Ismael Barroso. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I like how it sounds.
It's like the life of Brian.
I was going to say, Steve, as well. I mean, they're mentioning that he might end up having to fight O'Hara Davis as a mandatory. So we don't know WBA ever going to call it, but can you imagine the build up to that fight between O'Hara Davis and Raleigh Romero? My God, it's going to make this place look like a Mensa meeting, mate. That's what I'm telling you right now. Oh, the IQ levels are going to be done through the slurry in that one. But yeah. It's just this. I agree with everything Matty said there, mate. It's just an absolute outrage. How the hell he can get right up there after getting iced up at 140 and gets a title shot, and you can tell as well as he doesn't even look comfortable with that weight. The fact is, he, as I say, is getting walked back for the best part of that fight. Anytime he felt the ropes there last night, he was biting, he was panicking. PTSD off a tank fight possibly, and that
He's
as well.
dirty. He's always been dirty with the elbows, though. They say it's his judo background. It's his judo background, Al. It's nothing to do with that. He's dirty. I mean, simple as, and the referee didn't deal with it. He was supposed to fight Puello, wasn't he? Before he tested
By the way,
I hear Puello's only the champion in recess now, Steve.
I know,
they didn't even fucking strip him.
Well, don't let a drug test get in the way of someone's career, you know?
But the thing is, as well, is, he's popped hot for that clomiphene, the same thing Conor Ben got caught for, right? But guess what? He's actually even provided the evidence that he and his wife have been using IVF to get pregnant. So that's how he's ended up catching it. The sport, man. Honestly, as I say, it's incredible. As I say, you've literally got as I say, you've got the president of a boxing commission, so a sanctioning body. I think he's a commissioner. As I say, he's a video analyst, and he's altering scorecards. You've got people, paying ranking and fees, and brown envelopes to get ranking and points, and try to make political moves behind the scenes, and it's just chaos, man. What the fuck is going on? It's constant. There's always something. Every other couple of weeks, there's always something. But then, how often have we sat here all these weeks complaining about judges and referees and the same old faces? It's just going to be rinse and repeat, mate. Unless we get, it's just in the shitter, mate. These stoppages and covering up failed drugs tests and fights going ahead, and that, it's a Wild West.
It's the Wild West. There's money being made, and we ain't making any of it. No super chats this week so far. Matty, just to close out the main event before we go on to the undercard, actually, I was just going to say about the, I'm into the body of evidence and all this shite, but at the end of the day, what was the evidence for Weeks stopping it? The only reason I can see why Weeks stopped that fight is because Barroso was hurt early in the 9th round. Other than that, if you look at the evidence and say, was Barroso throwing punches back when he was stopped? Yes. Was Rolly smashing his head to bits? No. The replay showed the last 4 shots completely missed. Was Rolly ahead in the fight and absolutely dominating? No, he was losing on all 3 cards. Had he been dominating before that? No, he was dropped in the 2nd round and looking terrible. And the knockdown in the 9th round, you say, oh, he was knocked down, so he was on his way out. That was a bullshit knockdown. He was pushed down. So the only thing you can say, the only reason that backs up Weeks' decision was the fact that Rolly had briefly hurt Barroso in the 9th round. Nothing else evidences the fact that that should have been stopped, in my opinion.
The only thing that you could claim, and it could just be on a bad vantage point, Steve, is there was that kind of short right-hand shove punch that pushed Barroso into the ropes. And if you had a bad vantage point, maybe you say the ropes held him up when he backed into the ropes, right? But then you call a knockdown. There's nothing there. The only logical incentive is that Weeks knew that Rolly was down on the cards, and he knew that Rolly wasn't supposed to lose. It's the only fucking thing that makes sense. Nobody could be that goddamn blind, especially with as much experience as Tony Weeks had. Everybody makes a blunder, but not like that. That was ridiculous. It was and it's stuff like this that will cause fighters to become more vicious and try to take the judging and the referees out of it and things like that. It's a odd reference to go back. I was watching old Hoist Gracie fights from the original UFC. No weight classes. You fight like 3 or 4 dudes in the same night to be the champion.
Ooh.
And there was a fight he had where he got the guy to tap out and the referee didn't see it. And so he let off of the guy because he saw him tap out, and the dude went back after him and shit like that. And he finished him off. But all that showed is the ref is incompetent in finding his position. So the next fight that he had, the guy was tapping. Hoist refused to acknowledge it, and he broke the motherfucker's arm. Like, poor officiating puts these fighters in danger. That's the thing about it. Like, you're just not going to stop. And I think it's going to get worse and worse because, Steve, there is going to come a point, and I'm sure like little things have happened. I mean, we've seen it, but it might just become more common where a fighter has been done wrong so many times and he just flips out in the ring and he's going to fucking belt the referee. He's going to belt officials, whatever. Someone is going to flip out over these people taking the bread out of their mouths. There's some point in time where it really is basically violence against you and your family with this fucking incompetence and corruption. And it's fighters are going to get more violent with the people that they're opposing if they feel the cards are stacked against them, and a few of them are going to pop off at the people who fucked them too. I'm not going to be shocked.
There's a bleak Mad Max future for you to look forward to, everybody. Matty, I wasn't able to watch the 2 supporting fights on the undercard, much to my disappointment, actually, because I was looking,
half and half, Steve, half and half.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I was just about to correct myself. I wasn't really looking forward to Rancy's spot, anyone with the surname Bartholomew, but I was looking forward to Kenneth Sims against Baitar Akhmedov. I picked Akhmedov in the prediction league based on the fact that he was more experienced. He's kind of had a bit of a rough ride in some people's views on the cards. I thought he lost legitimately to both Puello and also to Barrios, as close as those 2 fights were. But then during the week, I was listening to another podcast. Other podcasts are available, and they said, I should imagine, unless there's any funny business, Kenneth Sims should outbox Akhmedov. And I thought, well, that's a bit of an interesting take. But it turns out, Matty, they were absolutely right.
Ish. I think it's one of those fights where you could have argued either direction. The Showtime crew had a card 114. I think one of the cards was either for Akhmedov or even. I thought the 116, 112, it might seem weird, but I thought that was out of the bounds of normal on this. I thought this was a 6-6 or 5-7 either way kind of fight. Very, very clearly. But it was fun from start to finish. Whenever it seemed like Akhmedov had gotten himself to a good position with Sims backed against the ropes, Sims would kind of find the pattern that Akhmedov was throwing from and just time a perfect shot and push him back. And that was kind of the flow of the fight, was Akhmedov landing his body shots and combinations, but doing a little bit too much of a rinse and repeat, and Sims finding those opportunities to land some harder shots. And both guys got buzzed at times. Sims was pretty bruised at the end. I don't think you could argue with the winner either way. Like I said, the scorecards were definitely off on that 116-112, but it was really fair. Pick or choose 115, 113 either way. The draw, I went the draw in the prediction league, Steve. Both of these cards, both of the fights that were in the prediction league were looked pretty close. One of them ended up not being so, but this one was a real curiosity. And I don't think you could have argued with the result either way. It was a fantastic fight. You said it's not really popping up in the normal places right now, but when it does, for those who haven't checked it out, definitely look up Batyr Akhmedov against Kenneth Sims Jr. It was a truly fantastic fight. I wouldn't say fight of the year, but is up there in the honorable mentions. And the Showtime guys did say that had, I believe, the most landed punches of any fight so far this year, combined between the two.
What about Bartholomew? A quick word on that. Was it not worth the viewing now?
So those guys combined for the most punches landed in a fight, and the statistic I roughly put together in my head as it passed by, as I think I caught that they combined between them, Bartholomew and Juarez, to land 20 out of like 431 jabs. Obviously there's power punches in there, but it was a fucking awful, horrible fight that Bartholomew pulled off by a majority decision. I thought he deserved the nod. It was a close fight. Juarez definitely has found his ceiling. Is what he is. The problem with Bartholomew is I think there's a fair bit of quality to him. You saw him in the fight before this against one of the mini Russell brothers, where he actually hurt him and was competitive before a really questionable stoppage in that fight too. Thinking about shit that is fucked up and has happened. And it seemed like that was a much more even fight against a very quality opponent. Whereas this one just seemed like he was kind of sleepwalking against a guy he should have been able to beat easily. So we'll see where he goes next. Obviously, none of us really want to watch it that much. He kind of looked goofy as fuck, like bald around the sides and then like braided up top, tied together. It was like kind of looked like a fucking cockatiel or something. Real goofy looking bastard last night. But I wouldn't advise anybody to watch this fight ever. I mean, if you've seen one, you've seen them all. When it comes to Bartholomew, other than a couple here and there, it was just truly absolutely fucking awful.
Why do you do it to yourself?
Well, at least that's part of only a $5 a month Showtime subscription. Fucking, at least it wasn't fucking pure misery or something.
I didn't even go the way to go and watch him for free, man.
I really put in a lot of sacrifices for the listeners out there. This being among them, watching Rancis Bartholomew on a Saturday night. I am clearly out of my mind.
He's clearly out of his mind, everybody. That's something we can all agree on, if not the state of boxing. I'll just quickly close up the prelims. I did actually have a chance to see them, so a few fights of interest, because some of these fighters, we might watch them in the future, and we might have a thing or two to say about them. Starling Castillo got a win over Esaturi Suero. This was quite a good fight, actually. Two Dominican fighters. Starling Castillo had fought on Showbox before against a guy called Eta Rossian and lost the fight, but he fairly came on in this. Mr. Sueri, it's not easy to pronounce that one. Was supposed to be the prospect, 12-0 with 9 knockouts, based in Las Vegas. Big puncher. Started off first 3 rounds or so, throwing a lot of shots to head and body. Looked the business, but then he started to slow down, and Castillo came back late, could definitely punch and hurt him. And then Suero had 2 points deducted late on for various infringements. Referee Celestino Ruiz not covering himself in too much glory, as was the form of the weekend. Michael Angeletti.
Steve, real quick, did you say he was beat by Otar Arenosian?
Yes, that's right. And then he beat Suero last night.
Yeah. So just real quick, because I know we really won't go over it. I am high on Otar Arenosian. He's a fun fighter with a real personality about him, and he is going to be on the Pro Box TV card this Wednesday. So
something to look out for. Absolutely. No, that was a good fight between him and Castillo, and then Castillo managed to get the win last night. So there was a bit of trash talk between the two Dominicans, so fair play to him. And Michael Angeletti, I was mentioning, could be one to watch. He was a quality amateur, lost out in the Olympic trials. He's 8-0 now. He defeated Michel Banquez. People might remember Banquez, actually. He's a former IBO champion. 4 years ago, fought on the Amir Khan, Billy Dib undercard. He defeated Prince Patel for the IBO title. Anyway, he's sort of gone on the undercard scene as a bit of a yardstick. And Angeletti beating him at 8-0 is quite a good win for him. He hurt him with a body shot in the 5th round. Banquez came out really aggressively in the final round in the 8th, and then he was dropped to the left hand, and Angeletti piled on the pressure and got rid of him. So he could be one to keep an eye out for. And Justin Valoria, you might recognise that last name, Mate. Brian Valoria's nephew stopped a Colombian called Pedro Pinillo. Valoria's 2-0 now. Nice balance, southpaw, decent body puncher, head a bit static, but it's only his second pro fight. But his uncle Brian, who retired in 2018, is keeping an eye on young Justin Valoria. So,
and his uncle had a hell of a resume. Win, lose, or draw. He fought just about everyone at those lower weights during his time.
Absolutely did. So Justin's looking pretty decent. If he can replicate his uncle's career, even 50%, he'll be doing pretty well, as Matty mentioned there. Just before we mention the people in the chat, I don't know if you managed to see this, Andy. I know this is something that you might have picked up. I didn't see it drop and didn't manage to watch it myself. Kevin Lorena out in South Africa got a 12-round win. That's a good win on paper, though, just quickly against Rihad Murhi, who's a decent enough fighter. I think he held one of those WBA fringe titles, got knocked out by Arsene Goulamarian a few years ago. So that's a good win for Lorena, who's bounced back from the older pregnancy tablet shame.
The old pregnancy field test. We've heard it all before, mate, haven't we? Yeah, but it's a solid enough win for him, to be fair. I don't know if Mera's still ranked within the top 10 in any of the bodies and that, but I dare say that will probably get her. It was at cruiserweight, sorry, eh?
Because Lorena was at heavy. Was it him who went in with Dubois, wasn't it?
I just pulled up the box, right? It was at heavyweight, actually. There were 200.
Oh, was it? Right, okay. I didn't realise Murhi was at heavyweight as well. There you go, then.
Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. WBC Bridgerweight title eliminator, vacant WBC Bridgerweight silver title. So 2 guys weighing over the... What is the Bridgerweight limit these days?
215 or 220, I think.
Is it?
Oh, is it? Right, okay.
So he was actually overweight for the fight. He was 222. Oh, well. Yeah, so he's got a decision when, mate. It'll be what it'll be, I suppose. I'm just trying to pull up the rank and see if I can find out who the WBC is at Bridgerweight.
Didn't Babic fight for that recently?
Who was it? Who was it?
The Polish fella.
Rosicki or something like that?
Rosicki,
no,
I think so.
Aye. So he's the champ, is he?
Oh, the wee fat guy, yeah.
Aye. So aye.
The wee fat guy.
Yeah, well done to Lorena. I don't think he belongs at heavyweight. Yeah, Marty Smith says it says heavyweight on BoxRec because there's no Bridgerweight category on the site. I wasn't sure really, to be honest, what it was at, but there you go. The bastardization of boxing. Bridgerweight is shite, says Matt Butters. He's not very happy, but he is in the chat, so that's a bonus for Matt there. He's enjoying himself, loving life. Jim McDonald Boxing's in the chat as well, so is Marty Smith. Who else we got here? Chris Butler, Ryan Ormerod, Michael Thompson, M. Lithgow 1983. Joe Burns. Congratulations to him for being in the chat. Number 1 is here as well. Mark Stanton. Andrew Thickett. Des is always with us. David Mustard. Lomachenko Haney is next weekend, he says. It is absolutely. We'll be talking about that later on. Johnny Horsecock Nelson has also joined us. Privileged, as always, as we scroll up to see who else is here. Before we move on to the Alimkhanuly fight, Let Me Cook. Not sure who that is, but he's having a good time. Might be one of Pigeon's many aliases. Yimi Yappi's here as well. Iron Fisted Champion. Let's see if we can get one more. Haven't seen anything to take aims just yet. Danny Young's there as well. Andrew Thickett talking about Wolves. Not going to go there. Graham Taylor. Loving it, lads. As always, says Graham Taylor. You listen to episode 523. Andy's here. Matty's here as well. A couple of fake names in here tonight. I'm Matt Butters. What kind of a surname's that? Sounds made up to me, Matty. Alimkhanuly, as I now call him, went in against Stephen Butler last night in the Stockton Arena in California. A bit of a feeling out first round, not much feeling out in the second round, though. Once Alimkhanuly landed that absolute ice of a left hand, left uppercut, Butler's legs were all over the place, staggering around the ring. An absolutely fantastic performance from Jack Reese, who managed to insert himself into the narrative, Matty, as he tends to do.
Yeah, I guess maybe he had... Holy shit, Andy left. I think maybe he had some sort of inclination that there was something odd going on the other side of the street, and he said, well, if that fight's going to be cut short, this fight's going to go too long, and we will find balance.
Matty will have his money's worth, I tell you.
And that left uppercut of Alimkhanuly was just brutal and spelled the end for Butler, who, you got to give him credit. Had serious balls. He kept getting up against the better advice of, probably anyone with any rational sense about him. But that was what Alimkhanuly needed after, going the 12-round distance recently and kind of needing to get a little bit of the shine back to his name after a generally tepid performance. So that was a good one for him. Onwards and upwards in middleweight division, which is kind of devoid of a leader right now, of anyone clean of the pack. But he's in position to potentially fight somebody else that carries the title at the weight or secondary as they sort out the Golovkin leaving mess. So we'll see where it goes. But that was what Alimkhanuly needed to come back and get a little bit of his just get a little bit of strength back behind his name, because went from being real high on him to really not even mentioning him hardly at all. So good on him. He definitely turned it around.
I tell you what, the one thing he tried to turn around was the post-fight interview. You mentioned future prospective fights or something. My God, that post-fight interview was cringe central, wasn't it? Alimkhanuly trying to call people out, Mark Kriegel not understanding him, asking him questions in return. Oh, I don't think they should do that again until he can speak better English, bless him.
I missed that thing. I switched over to the Raleigh fight. I missed that. So right on. Damn it. I love a good bit of awkwardness. So I am sad that I missed it.
Oh, it was awkward, all right. Andy, I don't know how much you saw of this one. Just Jack Reese, man. He's just, I don't know. He was too busy doing the whole flying around thing. And whenever he got up, he was doing the little punching in the air constantly to Butler. That poor fella did not. I love a late stoppage, as you know. I'm a Steve Smoger fan. But that fella did not know where he was. And he kept on pushing him out again. Where were the corner? Rob said this, and I thought this at the time as well. Where were the corner in the middle of all this? This guy is seriously not on his level. We could all see that.
Yeah, and the thing is, mate, you could have, there was a strong chance or a strong call you could have called that fight off after that first knockdown, off that uppercut. His legs were gone after that. I don't know if you noticed, but see when Reese checked him when he got up to his feet, and he kind of pushes him to to the corner. But Reese looks away as he does it, and the guy almost collapses at the bloody corner. I'm saying to myself, if he's actually watching,
staggers into the ropes for another count.
If he's actually watching that, he'd have stopped the fucking fight there and then. But it allows the guy to go and literally, talk about the complete opposite of the spectrum for Tony Weeks, man. Reese wanted to see a body in the slab there last night off that show, and it was absolutely ridiculous. Could have called it after the first knockdown. As I mentioned, he was like me after 15 pints, actually, back in my prime days. There's just absolutely no way. So you're right, mate. I think he loves his moment. I've been a bit of a supporter of it, to be fair, actually, the way he kind of called the Fury fight. Obviously, in the past, he's had his moments, but maybe dining out in that a wee bit, maybe thinking it's all about him now, and he needs to get his airtime. He needs to get himself into the picture a little bit, like some of the football refs and that. But Connor's got to do a lot better there as well, mate. They've got to protect their man. You could see he was in a bad way after that first knockdown, mate. Hanging on for dear life. And then look what happened. Doing bad, mate. That's the type of kind of knockdowns that can take years off your career as well. So, bad officiating. So that's Weeks and Reese who should be getting called in for questioning now. Actually, one should be getting done for attempted murder. Another one needs to get investigated for corruption.
The corner's really lax, though. I mean, they're fucking. You got that Canadian corner. You just wonder, like, hey, just try to hold him in there. Do what you can there, eh? Hey, it's gonna be all right. The bell's coming there, eh?
Was it Mark Ramsey in the corner? It looked like it.
Yeah,
he's quite an experienced official,
right? Right? I don't know. He might have done. Maybe.
But TRBF trainer, isn't
he? Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Maybe he was just so used to being on the other side of it, he just didn't know how to handle that situation. He's like, no, it's happening when my guy's bludgeoning the other, but
go on, Arthur, beat the shit out of him. Oh no, hang on a minute. This is
shit.
Picking that Rail Marat had him all over the place. So did that Brandon Cook.
But I often tell the Stephen Butler story, Andy. It's always my chance to revisit go and watch it on YouTube. I know you've seen it in the past at the Stephen Butler fight when the crowd kicks off and they start throwing the buckets of champagne into the ring and all, and one just about misses him. I can't remember who Butler's fighting, but that's what I always think about when I see him.
Aye, look, he missed him with a Max cock. It was like the time of the Fitzgeralds lobbed the wooden stool at
Oh, at
fucking
Spike. Oh, yeah,
Spike
that was
O'Sullivan, man. Literally missed him
crazy.
by Nats cock.
That's right. I was at
And then
that
obviously
fight
you got
tournament.
what happened in the York Hall Friday night. Absolutely epic. Better fights outside the
Bonkers.
ring than was going on inside it. Fucking hell.
Just on Alimkhanuly quickly, Andy,
Aye.
he kind of needed a performance like this because it's no fault of his own, but they were building him up as a bit of a beast. I don't think he's that big of a one-punch knockout artist, which sounds a bit stupid to say, but the way he kind of toiled at times to get rid of Van Damme, I think he likes to take his time, but ESPN are so busy building him into this beastly character. He got the Dignam knockout, absolutely smashed him. Therefore, we all expected him to smash Denzel Bentley, who gave the performance of his life, was very smart about the way he boxed that night, managed to go the 12 rounds. The shine was then took off Alimkhanuly. Take the brakes off him, man. I think if he stands back and boxes, he has much more of a chance of becoming that star rather than forcing him to absolutely smash people to bits all the time, because he is learning the pro game at the end of the day a little bit too.
He's up in age as well, though, so maybe they're just trying to kind of get him along pretty quick. But middleweight, Kazakhstan, maybe they're trying to kind of there's some references to Golovkin there possibly in that. But you're right, if he just just take a wee step back and kind of box himself into it, and that he'll probably just come to him in the end and that. But he just needs to just get the opposition now, mate. I mean, if you look at his resume, it's no solid. I mean, then Dam's seen better days. Obviously, he was a competent fighter back in his time. Bentley, again, similar kind of like pro experience level to Alimkhanuly. Rob Brandt, he's been in with some okay fighters and that as well, including Murata. So it's just new up in class now, I think. I mean, you want to pump him back a little bit. I know Golovkin's ranked number 1 with the WBO. Liam Smith's fighting Eubank, so I don't think he's going to be entertaining that fight.
Alimkhanuly, Andy, just briefly, Alimkhanuly said he would never fight Golovkin because of some kind of Kazakh cultural thing where you don't fight your elder and all this. So, yeah, he said that before, yeah. Sorry.
Well, he's got a decision to make then if he gets called for the mandatory. Golovkin, they've got to have a sit-in with
it sounds like Golovkin's retired at the end.
I think so, but Eddie says no, and I always believe what Eddie says.
Yeah, Eddie's always truthful.
Why would he lie to us?
Exactly. Eddie's always been on the level with everybody, mate. He's always been. But it's hard, mate. I mean, I'm just looking at some of these names in the rankings here. I mean, not a lot to write home about. You know, he's just beat the number 6 ranked fighter there. Felix Cash seems to be in and out of the sport, shall we say. Munguia, you want to see that fight? Yeah, I suppose it's okay.
They're not going to put Munguia in against anybody, especially not a cross-promotional fight. I think middleweight's wide open. It's actually very weak at the moment.
Yeah, and you got one of the belts vacant as well at this point, haven't you? Your Charlo's not really been active.
Charlo was busy, wasn't he? Sort of family situation.
I honestly think we're only going to see one fight this year with a fighter with the last name Charlo. God, honestly. Fucking, they have gotten too comfortable sitting on their asses.
It'll be the 154 one then. It'll be the 60 one.
Yep, agreed.
Well, hopefully it's against Tim Zhu.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Zhu's fighting Ocampo here in 2 or 3 weeks, I think.
He's keeping busy against decent fighters too. I like that.
Yeah. You can't sit around and wait, and that's what you're doing with these fucking Charlos. Like I don't think there have been a more inactive set of champions beyond these guys in boxing recently, and that's saying a lot. I mean, none of these guys fight for shit.
I don't know, there was a few fighters back in the day who were no active. Who was his name? Gary Russell, for example. Fucking defenses he made.
Well, he only fought once a year. Once a year,
Yeah.
mandatory. He said, "Why should I put the stress on my body? And I'm getting well paid." I think that's the PBC legacy starting to bear.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not bear fruit. It's starting to rot on the vine now. They're just too inactive, I think.
Yeah, too much money.
Corruption.
Yeah.
What about maybe a Hamza Shiraz or a Feigen Boots in? I see they're in the top 10 with the BO for Alimkhanuly.
I don't mind those ones like Feigen Boots. If you're going to fight again 3 months after he starches him, just keep fighting constantly. If that's his only fight of the year, or only second fight of the year, I don't want to see it. But if he's beating up people and getting on with it, then let them fight every 3 or 4 months.
I mean, well, if you're saying to me like the Golovkin fight will only happen because of the cultural differences, then Liam Smith's tied up with Eubank. Munguia's got a cross-promotional situation. I don't know what that Maram Nursultanov is linked with. Felix Cash is DAZN, I believe, so that's Eddie. Stephen Butler's just been iced. Michael Zarafa, who's he fought recently? Did they not get beat, possibly?
Can't
mind.
Lost track.
He was supposed to fight Golovkin, and then that got scrapped because Golovkin, I think, was calling it a day. And then he was supposed to fight for a vacant recently, and somehow he ended up getting pushed out of that. And I can't remember what title that was for. But it's just, it sounds like poor management, and he hasn't taken the chances in front of him.
Yeah, you've then got that Argentinian, that Juan Manuel Taborda. I think he's had a knockout loss in that as well. Another couple of fighters I don't reckon. Jimmy Kelly's number 15. I mean, this is the levels we're talking about here at 160. Wide open, probably right.
You got a near 50-year-old Sergio Martinez floating around there.
And you've got Lara as a WBA champion who is beatable at this point.
But they're trying to give that title Danny Garcia and give him a Hall of Fame resume. Look, he's a 3-division champion.
Hall of Fame resume.
Hall of Shame.
I
don't know.
Yeah, always
a bit bonkers.
Him for me, and I really feel because that's the way it's such a ridiculous fight, man. But for me, when it comes to Garcia, I mean, other than the Batiste fight, which was his crowning achievement, really, he's always the bridesmaid and never the bride,
Andy, tell us about this Jason Maloney fight. Was it Jason or was it Andrew? No, it was Jason, wasn't it?
Andrew fights next week.
Yes, Andrew's fighting against somebody else. I thought he boxed quite conservatively early on, not really engaging with that Vincent Astrolabio, which I can understand because he's definitely a bit of a puncher. He's good movement, good left jab, Maloney, but I often go back to this, which is a bit unfair. They're going about, he's finally a world champion. That felt like a eliminator kind of level to me last night. They're both decent boxers, but once upon a time they wouldn't have been fighting for a world title then too, which is harsh. But
it's just they're just it's just the circumstances basically, isn't it? I mean, Inouye's moved up, the belts have vacated, so he gets his chance. It was a good win. It's been a long road for him, shall we say? It's his third opportunity to get a belt. He's done it. That Astrolabio, he was okay, but he was very limited in terms of his output. It was kind of mostly single shots. I thought Maloney just kind of offset it just with his constant movement, jabbing, just didn't allow Astrolabio to kind of really get any offensive rhythm going, basically. You see, kind of spent most of the fight kind of largely behind their jabs, and just I felt maybe when it did get into the kind of nitty-gritty, I just felt Maloney was getting the better of the fight, especially when they kind of had their kind of small battles, and I did think Maloney was coming out on top of it. It looked like he was landing the better shots. He just hasn't got that game-changing, KO power that's going to go, wow, he definitely won that round. I thought he won the fight easily. Maybe a handful of rounds possibly to Astrolabio, and somehow tried to fucking rob him.
9-3, I thought. Aye,
115, 113. Robert Hoyle again, shit list. Keep an eye for him. And Tom Carusano, 114, 114. No really seen that name before, to be fair, but it was just poor. Again, no accountability for the judges last night. 2 of them need to be fired, possibly, or definitely even removed for a period of time, possibly, in that, because again, they were just like maybe it was a couple of rounds away, possibly, for the wrong guy getting a decision. So at least the right guy got it, at least, and that. So it'll be a decent boost for the for the family. And is Andrew fighting for a title next week, or is it just a?
It's a vacant strap. I can't remember who it's against either.
Is it on
the list? Is that on the Japanese card? Is it Tanaka's card next
week? It's on the. Is it on the Lomachenko? No, it's not the Lomachenko card. What card's that on?
I think it is. I think it is on the Lomachenko.
Oh, is it right? Okay.
It is. Nakatani is fighting for the vacant WBO.
Junto Nakatani, that's right.
So that'll be Jesse Rodriguez's old belt. He vacated to move into
flyweight. Yeah, that's not a bad fight, all in all. Fucking.
Let me look at that comment on the screen. MB ESPN Deportes had Astrolabio winning by 4 rounds. They need to be deported. That's freaking terrible.
I'm glad you said that, Steve, because I've often thought, I don't know the actual definition of the word, but I'm thinking about the immigration discussions in the States, and ESPN Deportes for the Spanish language version. It's kind of funny at the end of the day, I guess.
I'm not sure. I thought thinking Esportes, or is that sports, isn't it? Esportes? That might even be Portuguese. I don't know. I'm not sure.
No, it's the Mexicans, isn't it? It's the Mexican side of the channel.
It is ESPN Deported.
I'm trying to think who the fuck is it? It's that Steve. It's that guy. It's the ex. Is it Rafael Vasquez? Remember the old world champion?
Oh, Raul Marquez.
Marquez. That's the one. He's on that.
Oh, does he do that as well? He does the Showtime,
ESPN's.
doesn't he?
I thought, he does the Showtime and he does the Spanish end of that.
The Showtime have their own, you see, because I remember whenever Frampton was fighting Santa Cruz, I was sitting right next to them and they were yelling in real, strong, rapid Spanish throughout the whole thing. And I think Ray ubiquitous Ray Flores was around as well, doing the commentary next to them, so you couldn't hear yourself think that nice. But anyway, I digress. Yes. ESPN Deportes. Matty, any views on that fight at Maloney? Do you think he was a worthy winner, or are you with your Spanish Espanol breath when there?
No, I thought that he was a worthy winner. It was a pretty boring affair at the end of the day. Ostrolavio was pretty disappointing. I think that gives you good insight to where Rigondeaux's at. The fact that he nipped that decision off of him. Just doesn't have much foot speed. I can see how he can overwhelm an aging fighter, though. But Maloney just very sharp with the jab at the end of the day. That was the story of the fight for him, sneaking in that right hand here and there. But yeah, he looked sharp in it, and we'll see how he's able to manage at this 118-pound division.
Anything else from the rest of the undercard? I'll give a quick shout out, actually, Matty, to Gabe Flores. He's no Gabe. Gabe Lewis? I was going to say he's no Gabe Lewis, formerly of this podcast. But I feel sorry for Gabe Flores because he's a bit crap and he gets battered at a certain level. But he knocked out this Derek Murray with a fantastic counter left hook in round one. Nice moment for him. He's had quite a few beatings. Keeps trying. Good crowd. He's had a hard life outside of the ring. I think he saw his mom getting shot dead and all, which is unfortunate to say the least. So fair play to Gabe, man. I'm rooting for him.
Well, this is his hometown crowd, and they gave him an opponent where he could look good.
Pretty much.
So it worked out for him. He was able to score a big knockout victory in front of his hometown fans. Sold some tickets. Obviously, had some good people there. Build him up before there's something. I wouldn't be shocked because that was at 140, and he keeps going up a weight division, trying to find a comfortable one or something. Steve, I think we've had that discussion, and I wouldn't be shocked if they put him in with Barroso, just as kind of a stay busy fight. And Barroso doesn't have much power, but he puts his shots together well, and I could see him really giving Flores a rough night. It's one of those fights where Flores could get badly hurt because Barroso just doesn't have the power to put him away, but he could just keep landing combos on him all night long. So I don't know, but I could see that happening.
Anything else?
Sorry, I was just going to say, boxing scene. Jason Maloney saying he broke his hand in the third or the fourth round there last night.
Oh, right, okay. Good on him, old Maloney. Anything from the rest of the undercard, Matty, that you managed
I didn't catch anything else. I was watching the Showtime kind of simultaneously, so I caught the mains on those.
Did you catch anything else of the top rank undercard, Andy? I didn't.
No, I was the same, mate. I only caught the Flores knockout through that Alimkhanuly card that I managed to download. The copy that I got at the fight, mate, was only the main event, and Maloney. I think Maloney was the chief support, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, Matty Casimiro, do you want to give us a quick rundown on his exploits? I didn't watch it over the weekend, but you were saying that Nonito Donaire and his wife were on commentary, apparently.
Yeah,
quite interesting.
Yeah, they were. They were. It was an interesting night for me. I started off on Friday trying to see if I could catch the Kim Clavel card from Canada, and they wanted $30 for it for some fucking reason, Steve. So I said no.
What'd you say no for? Are you a supporter of this sport or what?
Not when the cards is like that, buddy. So I flipped it over to Bare Knuckle. Had a good time watching the Bare Knuckle.
Was that Tyler Goodjohn, by the way?
Yeah.
My God, he looked like he had a landmine put in his mouth after that fight. The state of him.
That was the one fight that was close and could have gone either way. That was he's a tough son of a bitch. Did you know him as a boxer?
Yes. Was he in Bare Knuckle? Is that how he ended up with his face?
Bare Knuckle.
He was engaged to that. Maybe he was engaged to a porn star for a while. He was on the.
He kept on putting pictures of him in compromising positions. He looked pretty compromised himself over the weekend, poor fella.
Yeah, he got cut up pretty bad. But yeah, I enjoyed that Bare Knuckle card. And like I said, all the stuff was legit at the end of the day, so I had no complaints. But then there was a card that would have been on Saturday in the Philippines. It was starting at about 9 o'clock at night my time from the Philippines. So I decided to watch that. I got a few fights in, I passed out, and then I was woken up at 4:00 in the morning by these little fuckers that were driving around on a mini bike. 4:00 in the fucking morning, and there's fucking 18-year-olds riding around on a fucking quarter-sized motorcycle with a fucking lawnmower engine in it.
Why just get the fucking rifle with them, mate?
Because you don't fucking shoot people for shit like that.
Why
and then
not?
then it's like, a little bit later, and these fucking assholes are walking down the street talking and laughing as loud, and fucking finally get open the door and yell them to shut the fuck up. But anyways, I couldn't go to sleep after that. So I finished watching the card from the Philippines, which was headlined by Casimiro making a move up to 122 pounds against Philippis Energy Ingitumbwa.
From where?
And he's somewhere in Africa. It was a good fight. Went the distance. Casimiro scoring a knockdown, I believe, in the 7th round of that fight. And then there was a point deduction, I think, for a shot to the back of the head, which I didn't think was really fair against Iga Tumbwa. But the final scores were 114, 112, and 116, 110 twice. I thought that might have been a titch wide. I think that kind of 115 was the cap, but it was an interesting fight with Casimiro moving up a weight class. I'm kind of, when I saw him fighting, even though he might be a little undersized for the division, Andy, I kind of want to see Casimiro against Neary. I think that's a good fight. But it was just a good, entertaining scrap in that one. Then before that one, you had the less talented Inoue brother Takeshi taking on Weljan Mindoro. That fight ended up being a draw. One card going either way, and then the even card turned in by Martino Redona. I thought that Inoue probably nipped that one, but it was a good fight. Definitely an entertaining scrap. Not one I would necessarily go back and watch, but I think the Casimiro one I would if you guys haven't seen it yet. But then there was another fight I thought that was pretty good on there. Was Vince Paras against Yumo Hanada. Just an 8-rounder on that one, and I thought the scorecards were a little bit out of whack on that one. I thought Hanada might have nipped it, let alone not losing wide on one of the cards, only losing by a round on the other ones. But an oddly interesting card that filled up part of my night and the next morning from the Philippines, and definitely if you get a chance, you're looking for a decent fight over the weekend. Philippis Ingitumbwa against John Riel Casimiro would be my pick from that Philippines card. That was a decent little scrap. But the best one of the weekend, in my opinion, Steve, was Akhmedov against Kenneth Sims Jr. That is the must-watch if you're looking for one from this weekend.
Yeah, no, I'm going to watch that this week because I've got hold of it now. As for Casimiro, Andy, he's a bit of a strange one. He's an exciting fighter, I think he has a lot of problems outside of the ring, which is why a lot of promoters maybe don't touch him. It always seems like they're always glad to get rid of him, although he is exciting at times and he can definitely punch. Him against Neary, as Matty mentioned there, Andy, could be that'd be a good firefight actually.
Yeah, but decent. Like you say, there's been some dodgy things been said about Casimiro outside the ring. You're right there, but it's
Now then.
Yeah, this hasn't seemed to went any further than that. To be fair,
but yes.
Yeah, but look, I think I even had that guy doing actually about the 6. I seen about 6 rounds. Actually, it was a hard fight for the guy because that African was quite tall and rangy. I know Casimiro did drop him in the 6, but I didn't go and get the dinner fixed that, mate, so I missed the rest of the fight, to be fair. Decent enough fight between him and Nery. Be a good, decent shootout, to be fair. Didn't really realise, actually, but Casimiro's actually got a massive following, actually. The video that I watched this fight had over 1 million views. When was this fight, Matty? Was it Thursday?
The Philippines fight?
Aye.
For you, it would have been on Saturday. For you, it would have been like Saturday late morning, early afternoon. I think.
There you go. So
Nathan Newman, shout out to him in the Nutters group. He always keeps us up to date on those fights. Sorry, go ahead, Anna.
Yeah. The other thing as well is I remember I uploaded a Casimiro fight onto YouTube, and honestly, it must have over 4 million views actually just now. He must be big over there and that. So interesting, just a wee bit of nugget there actually. So Yeah, just looking through the rest of this ranking. When's the Inoue Fulton fight rearranged for? That is happening though, eh?
July, I think. Yeah.
Good. And then you got Tapales who holds the other 2 belts and that. So yeah, that division's kind of stacking up with some decent talent. As you got Akmadali, I was talking kind of about there. You got
Tapales
Alim.
is there to be beat too. That was such a
Yeah.
weird.
They might make a
fucking loss.
rematch of that, I think, and then Akmadali might win his belts back, and we'll just all go back to normal.
I bet it's for Ab belt. Like I think I said that after the first one. They're not gonna. They're one of the sanctioning bodies is gonna say they won't sanction a rematch.
Mike, did you see that Tomoki Kameda was on the undercard?
No, I didn't say that.
No, was it Kameda brother?
I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Inoue, one of the Inoue brothers, I think he was.
Oh, was it Inoue? Sorry,
yeah,
Kameda, right.
Takeshi's Castle.
Oh, right, sorry, I thought you said Kameda. So I was going to say, because Kameda was in the top 10 of the WBO, so I just wondered that would maybe be a fight that would maybe make.
Wonder if they named
Casimiro.
Takeshi after Takeshi's Castle. Did you guys ever watch that?
Yeah.
No.
That was a good show. That was a good show, Andy.
Them all jumping in the river and all and trying to get over.
Fucking get the shit kicked out of him, falling like 20 feet in the mud and crap.
That's great. The next Misfits boxing.
There's a name though, Steve. Obviously, there's been Dennis McCann. He's bringing up the WBO top 15. I know the Frank and Ozzy and all the guys that are quite high. And Dennis McCann, I think he's quite decent. Do you think they maybe roll the dice, maybe try and take a chance?
I don't know what they're going to do with him because he was fighting quite regularly, wasn't he? And then the last time he fought that Joe Ham early this year, maybe end of last year. But I don't know if he's fought. I don't think he's fought since then. They seem to put the brakes on him. Maybe not the puncher they thought at first. I really don't know. I don't think they'll roll the dice on him. No, I don't think so.
Right.
No, I'm not sure. But you have led us quite neatly, Andy, back at a domestic front and that fight on Friday night in the crowd, which was quite the scrap, chairs flying about all over the place. Wouldn't be the same. Frank Warren card, he wasn't there to witness it, that I'm aware of. I'll go through my thoughts on the card quickly, and then you can let us know what you thought about it. So I was hoping Ozzy would be on tonight to actually talk about this. So Alois Yumbi, he's bouncing back from his debut loss with a good knockout, real solid left hand in that third round against that Borna Grsic. A shout out to Ryan Garner as well, his win over Valverde, and the crowd pulled out a Ghanaian flag to celebrate that win. So shout out to the prison canteen. Not really sure what was going on there, but we're fans of that. Anyway,
Steve,
yes,
Michael Thompson. Not to go back too much, but he says, "Fun fact, and this is true: only 9 people ever won Takeshi's Castle, and 1 person died on the show as well." So basically, the only thing more deadly than Takeshi's Castle is trying to climb Annapurna.
Is Jack Reese. Very good. Thanks for that. I think of the Crystal Maze vibes. Well done, Michael. Well done, Michael. Carol Itoma win over Khalid Gradia, knocked him down in the 8th round. Wasn't really a knockdown. Chris Bork struggling a little bit, lost to Mark Leach, and then I thought he had a handful against this Kevin Tranya, who's a Nicaraguan based in Spain. Ellis Zorro absolutely iced Jose Burton with a right hand, and then the crowd went bonkers and kicked off. And Moderna got knocked out by Willie Hutchinson. Funny career, Andy Hutchinson. I've mentioned it in the past. They always seem to... he's been very softly matched. And then they stepped him up against Lennox Clark and he got beaten. I thought he was really throwing a lot of shots, emptying the tank against Moderna. If he hadn't got rid of him, things could have got interesting. Yeah. But, if my auntie had a cock, she'd been my uncle. And the shot he landed at the top of the Moderna's head was a cracker, really. Absolutely splayed his legs.
Just before that, mate, I see the guy holding the flag. He looks like a young fucking Barley Wiggins, eh? With that beard. You're right, mate. I mean, Hutchinson, it looked like he was emptying a loot in that fight, and that Moderna was trying as well. But that shot landed high in the tempo, mate. I've not heard anything since, but he looked like he was in a bad way. Voluntarily went down the floor. I don't know if he was stretchered for the ring. So I don't know if he's okay. Well, I imagine he's okay. I've not heard anything since. Nothing's been said anything anyway. So hopefully he's okay anyway, because that was a vicious knockout, mates. Same goes for the Hosea Burton knockout, mate. I mean, sent to the shadow realm, and it's just really kicked off in the crowd. And then that poor guy with the white shirts got knocked out literally 30 seconds after Hosea Burton because the cheers come through the fucking air. Woo! You didn't want to be seeing that type of stuff at the boxing, mate, but that's what happens when people are 3 gram of ching deep and that, so. And Bork didn't really impress, did he? Sean Noakes, a bit of a highlight reel knockout as well. and the big guy, the big heavyweight, Alois Jr. and that. I mean, it wouldn't even been bad if you actually pulled a quilt out for the guy and just put a pull under the guy's head, man. That's how bad it was. Just literally put him on the ground, sleeping flat out. It was horrendous. That left hook, mate, absolutely brutal. All in all, is I suppose the fact is most of those fights, or some of those fights, ended up in knockouts, and quite stunning knockouts actually. I would say the card was okay, but you can imagine if all that entire card went a distance, and that we would all be sitting here moaning and complaining it was complete shit, and why are these fights getting made, and WBO European title on the line and all that shit.
Yeah.
But because it's all ended up in good knockouts, early doors, and that is, it was actually okay for a change.
Decent fare on a Friday evening. We haven't managed to get Rapping Rob Kelly with us just yet, so we'll hold off very briefly on the Lomachenko Haney preview. Just before we do so, Matt Butters threw a question into the Nuthouse chat earlier, which I forgot to cut, but a few of the boys have reminded me. Oh yeah, first of all, sorry, just before I forget, Ryan Ormerod says, congratulations to Joe Burns on his marriage. Steve, can we get a shout out for the new couple? Absolutely, shout out to the new couple there, Matty. Ronnie Hussein's was in the chat earlier, so he can maybe give you a few tips as well. So shout out to Joe Burns. We'll play him in with this just quickly.
Joe, if you need a good lawyer,
Mrs.
lawyer.
Go ahead.
Matty. I say, Joe, if you need a good lawyer, mate, then he phone Donny Baseball.
And you got to say that the new Mrs. Burns is quite a lovely gal, and Joe is definitely the Henry Armstrong of his era. You're just moving up the weights there, punching the ball above his own.
37 times a year at the moment, but it'll be down to once a year by the time of the end of his career.
Steve, I just hope tomorrow some poor bugger's on the bus, right, at 1 hour 5 minutes, and he's listening to that on out loud, and out comes that famous lass with the noise, mate. That's what we need to know.
Got to do something to keep Chuck Wu from falling asleep.
Somebody's going to get caught out with that. You just know it. I can't wait for me.
Shout out to Joe Third Degree Burns there for his marriage. Matt Butters sent in a question earlier, which we have touched upon briefly, but if there's any more you guys can think of. Worst stoppages, he said last night, Romero against Barroso is one of the worst stoppages we discussed briefly. Chavez, Meldrick Taylor, obviously the context was absolutely heavy that night with Richard Steele jumping in with just a few seconds to go. Des said Bellew versus Oval, Mackenzie 1 was bad. Yeah. I thought back in the day as well, Matty, you might not remember this one. I don't want to do you a disservice. Johnny Nelson, horsecock himself, fought Carl Thompson, and Paul Thomas, referee from Derby, jumped in with Thompson taking shots on the gloves. Notoriously tough guy, known for his comebacks, and I thought that was a bad stoppage too. I don't know if you guys have got any.
Who was the ref in the Sven Otka Robin Reid fight?
Oh, that was Roger Tillemans, who I once sat next to in Dublin, and he was a rather rotund, jolly character with a big moustache.
Simply refused to allow Robin Reid to throw and land punches on Sven Otka. That is the levels of corruption we got to that night, by the way. He's actually not even allowed to land punches on the guy.
That's right.
What the fuck is all that about?
I'm struggling because it's almost like I've seen so many stupid stoppages that they all just start to just run together. I mean, we saw one just about 2 months ago where I remember a guy was on the ropes and he was taking everything off the gloves, and the referee stepped in.
I've got one. What about, remember Pernell Whitaker beating the absolute ever-loving shit out of that
Diabilius Hurtado. That was on the other end of the stoppage on that one, though. That one was you should have stopped it much earlier. I think Steve is talking that Matt's question was about stoppages that were way too early.
Yes, too early.
Made no sense. Yeah. That made no sense that they shouldn't have been stopped whatsoever. So opposite end of the spectrum, but I love that fight. Anyhow,
I think
Paul McCluskey, Amir Khan. Sorry to jump in there, guys.
Good one. Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, Rob. Yes, that was one.
I know. Povetkin versus White. He was up at 8, man.
He's up at 8. Jack Reese would have let that go.
Bellew versus user guy. Bellew against Steve.
The European ones were dodgy back in the day. Do you remember on Eurosport? You would have seen some of the Italian ones, or I remember Avni Yildirim had some kind of interim fight, and I think this was just bordering on corruption. He hit this fella, and the guy just threw himself to the floor, and then the referee he got back up again. That's what it was, and Yildirim didn't even land a shot, and the referee stopped it. It was just that
happened in the Marcus Bear fight as well. I'm sure they know. No, wasn't it? It was who was the pole, Steve, up at cruiserweight, light heavyweight. He was the champ. He was a long-standing Darius Michalczewski.
Oh yes, Michalczewski. Yeah.
He was it against Roccagiani? Was it? No, he had like a dodgy low blow, and he kind of faked it out basically. Terry O'Connor, I remember helping Nathan Cleverly back to the corner before he got iced. That's not a early stoppage.
And didn't O'Connor stop one of Calzaghe's opponents? Was it Byron Mitchell who actually landed a right hand as Terry jumped in and stopped it?
That was a bad one.
Calzaghe versus Peter Manfredo.
Oh yeah, that was a bad one.
Just shoe shining him, man. He just standing there, no doing nothing. You're like, fuck's sake. There's got to be other ones. What? Oh, same guy refereeing this fight. Ward against Kovalev, the first one.
The second one?
Was the second one. The bull stoppage in the second one.
Yeah, low blow.
Weeks, yeah.
The
it was Weeks again, yeah.
And it says,
he was killed over. He got hit in the fucking balls.
I think when you look back at Kovalev's career after that, I did say it at the time, but I was very pro-Ward. He fucking jacked it that night. It wouldn't have mattered.
I agree, but I thought Weeks handled the whole thing absolutely
Won't still hit him in the balls, but he was on the way to quitting.
But then he allows Badou Jack to fight on look like he's been chipped off a fucking axe to continue for 12 rounds bleeding like a fucking haemophiliac, man. What the fuck?
I tell you, I know I've come in late here, but the only thing I can think of in the Tony Weeks stoppage is I saw it from one of the angles, and I think it's just because you know the way Barroso looks like the fucking Latin fucking real life version of a Toy Story toy that's come to life. Like his eyes were rolling in his head, but the shot hadn't hit him, you know, that way. But just from behind, you can see Tony Weeks looks, and it looks like Barroso's eyes are rolling, like it really does. But I know he hasn't been hit. But
that's because he was so weight drained, Rob. His eyes.
Yeah. But it looked like I think that's the only thing, because it looks like he was behind Raleigh, and it looks like. Because on the slow motion replay, it looks like Barroso's eyes are just spinning in his head anyway. Like, but there's no look at him, man. But
it looks like the same person 30 years later.
It looks like something out of a friggin' Egyptian sarcophagus, man.
It's like one of those crystal meth destroys your lives fucking ad campaigns, isn't it?
It looks
That's what he used to look like on the left.
It looks like he's 60, man, but he fights like he's fucking 25.
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. Tell us about that then, Rob. Anything else you saw from over the weekend? Raleigh, the future at 140?
Yeah.
Well, I was saying to you in the chat, I actually fancy, I wasn't joking, like I fancy Barroso sneakily to knock Raleigh out, just because he's always fought with his chin in the air. Yeah, he's terrible, basically. He's no technique. He fights with his chin in the air. He looks a bit glassy. He's been getting knocked out in sparring. And Barroso, even at fucking 150 years of age, could still punch. So I thought he might do something, but I didn't think he'd be ahead on all the cards when Tony Weeks jumped in to make Rolly Romero the new champion at 140 and start fucking negotiating the pay-per-view fight with Ryan Garcia. Like, you don't know about corruption. Espinosa's out saying, like, you don't blame the ESPN for the bad decisions when the Lakers and all are playing. Like, I don't have any control in this. But having said that, like, you know, Showtime like that. They like a bit of Broner. They had the 6-fight run with Floyd. They like a bit of, you know, shit talk to pump sales up. They like a bit of Broner love Espinosa, and Raleigh is a character that I think Espinosa would have had a lot of stock in, just because of the way he's able to sell a fight, like regardless of what the fuck he does in the ring. And I think it looks better, the 140 champion for a potential pay-per-view with Ryan Garcia, easy title, low-hanging fruit for both parties to make a big fight. Now I know that
the zone, though. You guys are playing that like that's going to have it's the zone. He's
the zone for the moment. I think things are going to change there. But anyway, yeah, and look, I don't know, but that's Raleigh's the one calling for Ryan Garcia to do the pay-per-view fight cross promotional. So his mandatory is O'Hara Davis, I think. But my feeling on this is that a rematch is going to be ordered, like, because Raleigh's even come out like a dope and said I don't think he should have stopped the fight either. He should have been allowed to continue. So I have a feeling that there's going to be a rematch made there. But I'm not saying it was corruption or whatever, but I'd say it favors the network to have Rolly Romero the champion versus fucking Barroso. Like,
I think actually you're right there, Rob. Even if it's not overt corruption, Tony Weeks knows what's up with the star. We've seen Rolly get an absolute gift before against Jackson Martinez when he was supposed to fight Gervonta Davis the first time. They pulled the fight, and despite the allegations, they weren't afraid. No, Rolly was innocent, but they weren't afraid to go straight back in there. They wanted that fight for a reason, like you said, because he was going to come in, talk shit against Davis. They pushed for him to get a title shot straight away, and then the fact that the Barroso, I think, like you said, he is a favourite at Showtime.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then in terms of the other fight, like with Alimkhanuly versus Butler, I thought that was fucking like Reese could have stopped that after the first uppercut. Definitely the second punch landed. What the fuck he lets him get up on, and the corner would want to have a look at themselves as well, that they're not throwing the towel in when he beats the second count. Like the first punch was a vicious uppercut. He got another hook on the way down. Like it would have been enough to call time there, I think. And nobody would have complained of a premature stoppage. Like, but Reese is like, no, fuck it. I don't think I've had enough headlines this time out. Let's see if we can get a body on my record while we're at it.
You thought it was Steve Smoger for the weekend, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
it goes to Steve Smoger. I'm telling you, he is around. He keeps making appearances.
Has he been moonlighting as a BKFB guy on the side, Reese? Because that's what it looked like last night. Slaughter, like. And Butler, I knew was going to be shit. Like, I just fucking knew he was going to be shit. Like, they were hyping him, weren't they? Like, Canadian prospect. Like,
I know he's rubbish. I've seen him before.
But the shot was a peach. The uppercut that finished it should be said. It was a fucking peach. The technique on it was brilliant. So that was good. Like, it was entertaining. But Reese want to be locked in jail for that, man. I thought that was very fucking bad. Like, very bad.
I just think all boxing is just so stupid this weekend. My God, this last 6 weeks of it has just been utterly fucking ridiculous. Just everything on the front foot. Like, we suck at our jobs. We're corrupt. It's just all bad.
Sorry to the guy that's complaining about the click noise, by the way. That's my headphones and I can't hear it, so I'm fine.
All I hear are the birds. I hear the lovely birds in the background.
Steve Smoger had a great meme wrote for him after Roy Jones Jr. got bludgeoned to death against Denis Lebedev, Russia, right? And it said, "Fight or dead? Do you want to continue?" Well, that's what Jack Reese was almost trying to do there last night. You dead yet, mate? You want to continue? Fucking Christ!
The athletic commission's going to have him like taking pulses soon, aren't they? As part of the recovery process.
Like Princess Bride, he's only mostly dead.
It just goes to show you boxing. Like, if it ain't one thing, it's the motherfucking other. Like, if it's not the promoters, if it's not the fucking fighters doping, if it's not the judges. We just have both refs have a stinker this week on the only fights around. Cheers, guys.
Or Rob, we can have Mauricio Suleiman moonlighting like fucking like a judge, a commissioner, and a fucking video analyst on 60 seconds trying to change scorecards.
If he wants to, yeah.
If he wants to, the fucking sky's the limit for fucking guys like that, man.
Saul Farrow wouldn't fucking have that kind of carry on his cards, and that's a fucking fact. Like.
Not at all. He wouldn't be matchmaker, fucking judge, referee, all his fights. Come on.
He did a better job than them two last night, by the way. That's what you want to get Saul in for the next Raleigh fight, like. But I mean, I don't know what.
The same size, Tate.
Waving the fight off with his little arm.
Like, yeah, I think Raleigh. Raleigh, like, they need to be really selective with Raleigh if they want to keep him alive. Like, he's in the fucking Shark Tank now. Honestly, though, isn't he? He's in the Shark Tank now for 140. Everyone will be licking their chops to get it. Like, imagine what Prograis, Catterall, Taylor, who else has gone up? Haney's coming up to 140. Garcia's coming up to 140. Like, all of them would absolutely feast on Raleigh Romero. Like, so they're going to have to be very selective with him. The O'Hara Davis fight, I'm not mad at that fight. Like, no, I think those two dopes, putting those two dummies together.
It'd be fun, actually.
Would be fucking brilliant.
That would be good. I wouldn't mind seeing it. I'll tell you what, he's had some opportunities, Rolly, though, hasn't he? We mentioned the Showtime thing earlier, Rob. His dad comes from good Cuban amateur stock. He's got a good trainer in Bullet Cromwell there. Floyd signed him off the back of his sparring. God knows what he saw. Maybe it was that Brutal Mente sparring. But I'll tell you what, he's done well for himself, considering his technique is shocking.
Cromwell is a very hard word for me to digest there, along with Bullet for as an Irish ref. Hold on. No, like, yeah, he has everything going for him that a good fighter should have. You look at the likes of fucking, I don't know, anybody floating around there, 35 to 40. That's like Prograis. Like, Prograis not getting that type of push anywhere, and he's fucking head, shoulders, hands, and feet better than fucking Raleigh Romero. Like, isn't he? It's But Rolly knows how to sell a fight. He's entertaining. He's polarizing. He plays a very shrewd role as well around the boxing media in the US. He's often around Ellie. He's in all the gyms. He's always giving quotes on other guys. He talks with a level of undeserved arrogance that he absolutely believes himself. Like he's still to this day saying he was schooling Javante before he got knocked out.
You fucking dwarf.
Yeah, like he's terrible. Like his trash talk is not even good. It's cringeworthy. Like it's not even like Broner pay-per-view.
High school level, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's a dummy, ain't he? Like Rolly, like not to fucking run the guy into the ground.
As that says on me, can you imagine the fucking shit talk between him and Davis?
I know.
It'll make us sound like a fucking Mensa meeting.
It'd be like the fucking, it'd be like an episode of The In-Betweeners, one of the two boys just fucking going at each other, like two juveniles. But no, like I'd be all for that fight if not all for it, but it'd be an entertaining weekend, like if the two of them end up matching up with each other. But as far as Rolly being a title holder at 140, you'd worry for him. I don't think he's going to have that trinket too long.
I think that the PBC is going to use him as the path for the 140 Gary Russell to get his title. We all know that Gary would beat the fuck out of Rolly.
I'm not so sure. I think PBC have got their eyes on Garcia. I actually think eventually they're going to try and match him as easy as they can. Although, to be honest, I wouldn't make Rolly Matty a resounding favourite against O'Hara Davis. People can laugh all they want. O'Hara, though, style-wise, he's not too dissimilar, is he, really? With his awkward big arms.
I'm with you. If O'Hara Davis could and if he could land on Rolly, he'd have him in all sorts of trouble.
I think so. I think he'd knock him out.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd make Rolly a favourite against Robbie Davies.
What, me? He's not that bad.
It's the same, man. That chin stands there like a fucking meerkat. Rolly's like,
and he's always on the line, Andy. He's fucking on the line. My fucking God. Like, fucking Davis just had to be sitting there and just be like, whenever I want to. How the fuck did he get a title at 140 pounds? How
is it? It's a real title too, isn't it? Someone has vacated something, haven't they?
Puello got caught. No, Puello got caught, and he's been made champion in recess.
Well, and you got to think, it's not like there aren't talented fighters at 140 pounds. It's how the fuck did we end up with this? And that's
what I'm saying.
This should have been deep on some fucking undercard somewhere.
Well, it's George Taylor's fault, really. That's who it is. It's George Taylor's fault for not handling the fucking Catrol situation when it should have been handled.
Fair enough, but I mean, my God.
Sorry, Matty, don't forget as well that this whole situation came about after Taylor vacated the belts, and the WBA made the next 8 contenders do the PowerPoint spread presentation, didn't they?
That's right.
Say why they should be the next in line. So Barroso must have done some job to get.
He looks like he's big on PowerPoint, actually. Barroso,
he must have
wizard on Photoshop as well.
He must have handed over the Panama Papers and he fucking get that fight. Stay that, man. Fucking Jesus. Look at
Rolly looks like he bought them glasses on holidays in Tenerife, don't he? I'd say
Tony Leachman's about the same age, and he looks fucking younger than fucking Barroso does in that picture, man.
Doesn't Rolly live in Vegas? I'd say Rolly is going around with that WBA trinket tonight around the clubs in Vegas. Watch out.
Well, his Minecraft glasses.
I was going to say, looks like going about his Elton John specs on here, man. Look like complete fud.
He's gonna trade it for a threesome at the fucking Bunny Ranch.
Absolute fuddy boy, by the
way. Dr. FMG says Rolly called Tank a koala bear with chlamydia.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Well, that was better than anything he landed him on him on the night. That one.
Oh my God.
Rob, did you ever see the show on MTV called Yo Mama? It was hosted by Wilmer Valderrama, and it was just people, people in a shit talking competition. And if you could
doing the dozens on each other with Yo Mama jokes, or Your Ma jokes, as we call them in Wexford.
And some of them were fucking class. The fucking best one ever, though, there was this fucking white dude, and he was just dressed to the fucking nines, looked like fucking Yale guy. And dude fucking, pulled off some fucking really good, kind of street remark about his mom. And he said, yeah, well, I am rubber and you are glue. Everything you say bounces off of me because your mother's a whore. And fucking gorgeous, man. Fuck me.
My favorite one was what was my favorite? Your ma joke? Your ma got sacked from the sperm bank for drinking on the job.
Aye.
Oh, that's fucking glorious.
Another one, what was it? If your dad took care of business, I'd be out of business.
Fuck's sake. Am I going to segue into a Kosi Tanaka fight off the back of this?
Kosi on up with Kosi Tanaka.
Aye, Jim and Bill, in your own time, lads.
Oh my god.
Kosei's mama's so old she got radiation poisoning.
All right, we'll just do a cursory mention of that one, I think. Yeah.
Mate, I'm getting visions in the scene with the mom jokes now. I'm getting visions of the Waterboy film, Adam Sandler. Oh Christ!
Gina the Devils, you're a beautiful woman in the world.
The boy says to him, "I'll be playing with your mama tonight," and he goes, 62. That's your claim, boy.
Oh my god.
Fuck's
Yeah.
sake.
Right, we'll give Takosi a mention and nothing more because we have to move on. So he's fighting Pablo Carrillo next Sunday, actually, in Aichi, Japan. So good luck to him.
Moving on from the adventures of George Michael, who said that in the chat. I'm never gonna dance again.
Matty, anything from the undercard next weekend that interests you? I see a couple of prospects there. Amari Jones, one of the Vargas sons, Abdullah Mason. They've managed to shoehorn Nico Ali Walsh on as well. Floyd Diaz.
Who's his granddad again, by the way?
I'm not sure. Billy Walsh, I think we've established. And
what are we doing? Are we talking about the Lomachenko?
Yeah, Lomachenko, Haney undercard. Just going through a few of the fights here, just having a look at them now. Oscar Valdez against Adam Lopez.
That's a shit fight. If anything, it should be Oscar Valdez against Abraham Nova, right?
Yeah, it should be. Lopez is fun enough that he will bring the fight, though, so it could be pretty head-on. Muratala's going in against Jeremiah Nakathila, your mate, who knocked out Bichelt. And then Nakatani Maloney doesn't really do too much for me as a chief support there. I know Nakatani's a decent banger. Anything that stands out to you there, Matty, from all that one?
I am interested to see the Vargas brothers as they develop. I mean, their dad, for everything he lacked, was a complete fucking badass in the ring and a fucking grade A shit talker as well. I would say Abdullah Mason is definitely an interesting prospect. The Murataya Nakatila fight, I think that Murataya is going to handle him pretty well. Nakatila is fairly durable, but I think at the end of the day, he won that fight against. Why am I missing the name right now, Steve?
Who are you talking about again? Sorry, Matty.
Nakatila. Who did he beat last time?
Bichelt. He knocked out Bichelt.
Yeah, Bichelt was just done though. He couldn't make the weight. He was just punched to fuck. I mean, it was there for the taking. I think that was way more to do with the state of Bichelt than the abilities of Nakatila. So I think Murataya is going to win, and he's going to look good doing it. Nakatani against Maloney is an interesting fight. You got to think Nakatani by knockout or Maloney by decision in that one, but it could be a good blend of styles in that one. Nico Ali Walsh, he doesn't look too bad. He does seem to be developing, Steve. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, we make our jokes and things like that. I imagine he has a ceiling which is somewhere below a world title.
Seen a lot worse.
He's I would say that he's better than Campbell Hatton. He's got that going for him, which is nice. But it's a fair undercard. Not a great undercard. I'm really disappointed in this fight for Valdez. Lopez again, good fighter. He comes to throw, but I don't think he's meant to be fighting at 130 pounds, Steve. I think Valdez is gonna hurt him and hurt him early. Yeah. But the main event, that's a solid, interesting fight, and I think that's obviously what we're all tuning in for.
Yeah, I'm going to get straight stuck into that now because I'm looking forward to talking about it, actually. Andy, we'll go to you first of all. So, Vasyl Lomachenko against Devin Haney. Interesting styles matchup, I think, first of all. That's the thing that strikes me. Loma, very high energy. Can he get on the inside and succeed where the understandably much more limited George Kambosos couldn't? Is Haney the master of tying people up? Is he going to be able to tie up Lomachenko effectively and just spend the rest of the time popping the left jab, right hand, as a lot of people seem to think? He's going to be a lot bigger than Lomachenko. How do the styles match up, Andy? Who's going to be able to do what on the night, do you think?
Well, you've kind of taken two of my main points, really, because obviously I think seen against Kambosos, Haney just needs to sit on the jab right hand. He can let his punches go 3s and 4s, and he has knocked people out badly in the past. And that we have seen him rattled against Linares, so we know he can be buzzed. Maybe the weight could be an issue. He looked, maybe just because of the travel going to Australia, but he'd looked awful for the rematch against Kambosos. Is that a factor? One of these situations was we'll need to wait and see till next week. That's why I wasn't really want to make a pick, because I'm slightly on the fence. Part of me thinks Loma could pull it off, and part of it would be like obviously about legacy. But I'm kind of siding with Haney at this point in the minute, obviously because Loma's getting old. He's had 20 years in the sport. God knows how many fights and that. High intensity. Is it just one step too far? Bigger guy, as you say, and it's his last chance really, because obviously this whole situation. Obviously, they could have fought 3-4 years ago and that, but at that point, it didn't make sense to Lomachenko because he's wanting to unify the entire division, which at that point, Haney didn't have a belt. He gets emailed a title, and then he's got to then prove himself in that, which he has done to a degree. He just needs now the breakout name, and this could be it. As for your point, I think it is key on the inside. If Lomachenko can get in there, he's got to make it count. We have seen him get tied up in the past, and he does that kind of weird shrug and tries and pulls his arms free, so he'll probably need to do a wee bit of that at the weekend. Needs to make his moments inside count. He's got to work the body, definitely. He's got to make it ugly at times himself. He's got to be strong in the pocket. But one thing I think he's got to do, this I hate using it, but you know what I mean, this downloading the data shit, none of that. He's got to come out from the first bell on it. This looking, his touch and see what's happening and that. You should know by now what Haney's going to do. Haney's not going to overcommit himself. He's going to be happy to keep it at mid-distance, and then at times he will look to step in and then try to step it up a wee bit, I would think. But I think there'll be a wee bit of respect in that as well. Haney's talking about a knockout, wanting to put him to retirement, but I think he'll be respectful early doors, and that's to see what Loma's got in terms of speed, power. It is really interesting, but I'm siding with Haney at this point, possibly with a slim decision. Again, it really depends on how he makes the weight, and does Loma still have that? Is he still close to his peak? Because when he came back off the surgery against after the Lopez fight, who was it he fought? Was it the Japanese guy, or was it the other boy?
Jermaine Ortiz, was it?
No, it was Nakatani, and he looked.
Nakatani, and then Comey.
Yeah, then Comey. And he looked like he hadn't really kind of skipped a beat really, and obviously the Ortiz fight was Ortiz is kind of still coming in his career undefeated. It was probably a good 12 rounds from him at that point, because obviously he been out the ring for over a year because he was back home. Now he's back. It's obviously as well, it's the first time he's been underdog in a fight since probably Gary Russell, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the Lopez fight, but yeah, probably the Gary Russell fight, I would say.
Was he even an underdog in that fight?
The Gary Russell fight, I'm sure he was, because he was on the Showtime as well. He wasn't on a home show. He was on the PBC show for that fight. And it was one of the cards was quite tight. I think one was a draw, possibly.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and he was definitely favourite against Teofimo.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I'm going to say Haney on points, but I want Loma to win. It would just cement his legacy. He'll probably retire after that, actually, as well, to be fair. He's consistently trying to get out the big fights. He's wanted the undisputed title at lightweight now for the best part of 3-4 years since he was fighting Crawler and Luke Campbell and those guys, and he was trying to unify all the belts, and he's run into Lopez, who held the last belt, and then he got beat. Obviously, we all know what happened with that. COVID hit, and then he's had to try and rebuild. Here we are. He's finally got it. So yeah, I hope he wins, but I think Haney at this point, fresher, hungry. He has a point to prove. He has quietly went about his business and that as well. Obviously, we've been getting frozen out as such, being with Eddie on the zone. He has quietly had to kind of work himself away, and he could have got despondent. He hasn't. He has remained professional, won these fights, regardless of how boring he looks. He's got the job done, and here he is, undisputed champion, defending his belt against a bona fide ballot, first-time Hall of Famer possibly. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But I think Haney wins, but I want Loma to do it.
Yeah, I agree with everything Andy says there. Actually, I think Haney will win as well, but I want Lomachenko to win. Michael Thompson says, if this was at featherweight, this would be an easy UD for Loma. Well, yeah, because Haney would look like your man there. Probably trying to make the weight. Poor fella, but Andy makes a good point, man.
Looks like, I swear, he looks like one of those fucking shrunken heads from an Amazonian tribe.
He went in raw without protection, basically.
I asked the boys in the chat who they thought was going to win. Let's go through them quickly before we bring Rob in. Andrew Thickett says Loma wins on points. Jim McDonald Boxing says Haney points for me, so it is. Johnny says I think Loma works him out after a slow start and takes it on points close. Big A says this will be the first and last time I'll be rooting for Haney. Matt Butters says Haney on points to outjab Loma in a boring fight. Kaiser Cobra says either Haney UD or Loma stoppage. He has the power, angles, and a clinch breaking style to pull something out late. Lithgow says Loma points. Dr. FMG, Loma has one left in him. A lot of Loma points. Iron Fisted Champions going that way as well. Michael Thompson says Haney is really good. He doesn't do anything amazing. Surely Loma might see him as quite standard. He must have seen Haney's style so many times by now. I'm not sure who you're going for there, Michael. Chris says Haney points 116, 112 around there. Ryan Ormerod says, excuse me, Loma stops him. Yimmy Yappy says Loma for me. Sleeping on hay for 3 months is some real adversity. And Josh Ford says Loma 8-4 sort of fight. Rob, I was listening to the Nutters call last night, actually. Get a life. Shout out to Danny Young. Lomachenko can't afford to start slow like he did against Teofimo Lopez, can he? He can't afford to do that ever again.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, time waits for no man. He's 35 now. He's had 3 fights in the last 3 years, probably no fault of his own with COVID. A decision over Kami and a stoppage over Nakatami. I think Lomachenko, Bob Arum put it brilliantly years ago. He's a 126 pounder fighting at 135, where Haney is a 135 pounder or probably a 140, 147 pounder fighting at 135 in his prime. I don't know. It's a tough one. A lot of people are automatically writing off Loma. Haney seems to be flavour of the month. There's a lot of kind of recency bias about how easily he dealt with Kambosos, who of course beat Teofimo, who beat Lomachenko. Doesn't necessarily work like that. I'd say with their common opponent, Linares. Although Linares buzzed Haney kind of had a shutout against Linares versus Lomachenko, and Linares was nip and tuck the whole fight until the body shot, and Linares had dropped Lomachenko as well. I actually see this fight probably playing out around. I tell you what, it depends on the dossier that Boxer Size Bet. Could you imagine this shit that's going to be in that, by the way, when it comes to Lomachenko's pivots and swerves and the matrixes and the downloading of the data and all out of fuck.
Like elusive rap.
It'd be bigger than the fucking the dossier that fucking Conor Ben sent to the fucking WBA over the eggs. Like, it's going to be fucking serious.
Chris Files, man. Fuck's sake.
Oh, fucking hell, the shit that's going to be talked in that. So as long as Bill Haney and Devin disregard all that shit, they should be fine. No, but I think straight up and down style, as Andy said, the long fucking style of Devin Haney. I'm not saying Lomachenko's out of it. I just think it's a bridge too far. I think Haney's too big. He can keep the distance well. And I think, honestly, Lomachenko's performances at 35 probably haven't been his best. Like, I think he, points win. I know he stopped Crawler, obviously. Points win over Luke Campbell.
35.
Linares, that was a chess match. That was a fucking that was one of the most beautiful things about boxing. If you're into technical boxing, to pull that up and watch the two of them go at it was fucking absolutely fantastic. But again, that was probably Linares that had seen his best times previously. And he struggled a little bit, but Linares is a high-level operator. Nothing to kind of see here. But Teofimo Lopez, I think, was probably the blueprint for Haney. Straight shots, bigger man, hurt him, I think, down the stretch. I don't think Haney's as big a puncher as Lopez, but I think he's a better fighter. And I think I'd give Haney the edge, probably 8-4 or something like that.
Okay, the boys are throwing theirs back in the chat again. Loma points Bosch, says Michael Thompson. He's fucking made his pick. David Mustard says Loma, hopefully. Thomas Newman says Haney by vicious biting frenzy. And Amit Sharma says slim points decision either way, I reckon. Yeah, I think it will be slim either way. I think it'd be a pretty tight fight. Although some people were talking about Lomachenko being a tight fight, but one judge only gave Lomachenko 1 round. I think she had it 119, 109, so that wasn't tight on the cards. Which leads me to my next point. Matty, well, I'll get there eventually. Jermaine Ortiz, very much like Teofimo Lopez, had success with the straight left jab against Lomachenko. That's also Haney's most potent weapon. I don't think Lomachenko is going to let him grab and hold as much as Kambosos did. So there are stylistically, as I mentioned to Andy, a few interesting factors at play. Haney sometimes widens his stance. The legs are quite wide. So if Lomachenko can time him and maybe close the gap quite quickly, that gives him a better chance of getting inside before Haney can wrap those tentacles around him, which finally leads me on to my point. The officials. We don't know the referee. I don't think they don't mention them or announce them till the fight week for obvious reasons. corruption and whatnot, and people lobbying them to say, I don't want him. But what about the referee? What about the judges? What are they going to prefer? Is the referee going to jump in quickly? Is he going to break them? Is he going to allow them to fight on the inside? What kind of impact do you think the officials are going to have on this, Matty?
I would like to see the official break often and warn Haney if the holding gets too significant. I think there's going to be a little bit of holding in boxing. I mean, it's just part of the sport, but you got to look for what's excessive. And Lomachenko isn't, necessarily looking to be right there in Haney's chest. He's looking more for that mid-range, and he's got much shorter arms than Haney. So there is going to be kind of that distance in the middle of the road where he can land that really nice right hook, the swivel jab that Tim Bradley likes to talk about so much. And try to cut those corners. Haney, again, with those straight shots can give Lomachenko a lot of fits, and he's got to do what Teofimo did and just turn with Lomachenko, let him get his shots, pick him off, and a jab and get out, and then reset. And it was very rinse and repeat for Lopez in that fight. Jermaine Ortiz did a little bit of that of himself. I think style-wise, it could be really bad for Lomachenko that because Haney can do a lot of the things that give him trouble. So we'll see if the ref lets Haney hold, because if not only he holds, but he at that mid-range is if Lomachenko gets inside of a jab, if Haney just chooses to bring that hand back with Lomachenko coming with him, that's going to get excessive and irritating. And I hope he warns him and takes a point at some time and puts that on the line for him so he knows he's not joking, just to keep the fight watchable. But I think the real curiosity on this one, and I'm curious if Rob might also just have some hesitations on this, is I kind of want to see how Haney looks at the weigh-in on Friday. I think he is a big guy at the weight, and I don't know how comfortably he's going to be making it.
He was absolutely.
Do you know what?
Go back and watch the Kambosos rematch one, mate. He is the worst. He was almost white. That's how fucking bad it was, mate.
He's so dehydrated it turned him honky.
Come out singing country songs at the weigh-in and all. No, I gave up trying to assess fighters based on what they look like on the scale. I mean, obviously Haney's going to be drained. I think this is definitely his last fight at 35, unless they can make the Shakur fight, which seems to be the natural one for a top rank to make. And that's kind of how I wanted to go. I don't actually, do you know what I want? The winner of this fighting Shakur Stevenson is what I want to see. So either of these two, if they win it, I think that'll set up a fucking tremendous fight with Shakur Stevenson. I think Shakur is the natural heir to the 35 to 40 throne, whatever way it's going to play out. That's the way it's going to happen. But I don't want him to get fucking frozen out ESPN style. So I like that Bob has these three guys, and I want him to make that fight, you get me. So whoever wins this fight, I don't want rematch clauses to get in the way. I want them to go on and fight Shakur Stevenson. So I think that'll be the only fight that keeps Haney at 35, him versus Shakur. But I don't have a horse in the race. I want the best fighter to win, but I just think Haney at this stage of his career, he's a little bit fresher, bigger. I don't think fucking Lomachenko has looked his best at 35. I think different guys have given him trouble at 35. Pedraza as well. I just think Haney, younger, fresher, is probably going to get the job done. But I don't want to go too boxer size Ben. But if I was Haney and I was looking to land something of note on Lomachenko, I'd be looking to catch him off the pivot. It's kind of like how Donaire caught Rigo the one time he did hit him in that fight with the two of them, and as well as that, it's how I think Linares caught Lomachenko as well. It was when he's stepping out. But I'll send that to Boxer Size Ben during the week, and hopefully he can pass it on to Bill Haney, and we can take the credit next week. But I just want to see the winner of this fight Shakur Stevenson.
Unrivaled work, mate. Unrivaled work.
Thanks, Sandy. I watch a lot of tape, man. I don't know if I mentioned that before.
Rob, you might have mentioned it within your answer there, but just quickly, who would Top Rank and Bob prefer to win? Lomachenko is probably easier to manage and control, but Haney has much more upside at this stage.
I don't know. Haney, I don't want to fucking get political from my fucking Wexford town location and start commenting on fucking race politics in America. But Arum hasn't traditionally done well with the Black American fighter. He dropped the ball with Floyd. He said he didn't understand that generation, didn't know how to market him. He let Terence Crawford go ice cold while he was the hottest pound for pound prospect. So I don't know. Like, I think Shakur is obviously. I think Bob knows Shakur is the best fighter in the sport, and he'd want to have the titles to reflect that. And I think he won't give a fuck who wins this fight as long as the winner fights Shakur. To be honest with you, if Haney moves up, all the better. They can have Loma versus Shakur, kind of a passing of the torch job. I think Loma's been fantastic. I don't think he hit the fucking apex that he was hoping to hit as a pro fighter, but I think he has been sensational. Having said that, I think he's fighting like 7 pounds above his top weight as well. He could have easily stayed at 130 and not had to have those challenges. So you have to applaud him for that.
Yeah, absolutely. David Mustard said there's something intrinsically, I love that word, unlikable about Devin Haney. I hope Loma stiffs him. Yeah, I think his old man's an arsehole, isn't he, Bill? I'm not a big fan of him either, to be honest. I think, Andy, just going back off the stylistic things, you can't afford to stand off in no man's land with Haney because he will just pick you off with that jab. You've got to either stay out of range altogether or get inside, which is the trouble that Kambosos had with him so much. But people have had success with him. Jojo Diaz had a bit of late southpaw success, but he's obviously too fat and lazy to capitalise on that. Kambosos even turned lefty himself in the rematch at times and had a little bit of success with the right.
Desperation.
He never looked comfortable. He never looked comfortable, didn't know what else to do. Whenever someone turns southpaw and they don't usually do that, as you say, it's desperation. Jorge Linares' success came off combinations rather than single shots or 1-2s. It was bang, 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 bang. But for all of his limitations and his dodgy skin and his punch resistance, Linares has always been offensively very, very good and can punch and is very, very skillful. So there are blueprints, but can Lomachenko, is he the type of fighter to take on the things that those guys had success with? I'm not so sure he is.
I don't know, because obviously Linares is like, if he's talking like technical efficiencies and that, I mean, Linares is as good as anybody. Loma's just simply just not the same type of fighter. Obviously, he's more kind of buzzing around about you. I agree, but you should be kind of targeting the body. I just think if he can figure out a way past the long reach, because we've seen Haney just, we mentioned about Kambosos. I remember Matty he wasn't losing his shit, but he wasn't impressed really with Haney in the rematch. And that obviously, it wasn't great to watch that. But Kambosos never really made him do anything different, and that's why he had to do it to win the fight. He looked awful on the scales. He's travelled a fair distance for it and that as well, so it's all about just winning the fight at the end of the day, and that's what he done. And he wasn't really kind of pushed to do anything else. Jab, right hand, hold. That's what he had to do. If Loma can somehow keep the engine going, he needs to have a fast start. I think. I don't think he can afford to sit and look like, say, obviously the Lopez fight, from what we know now. I won't piss people off with the picture with the shoulder and a sling and things like that. But if it was legit that he'd been managing a shoulder problem and that, and it just came to the fore in the Lopez fight, and then it makes sense as to why it took him kind of latter half the fight to get started. But that said, he's meant to be injury free. There's no excuses now. He's going to start far quicker, I think, as well. If he lets the first 2-3 rounds slip away, what happens if the fight does go the distance and some of those rounds are competitive and it looks like he's maybe winning the fight, but he's actually not? It's maybe getting scored the other way. He's going to let it slide away and that. So I think in terms of him as well, this is his last chance really to try and achieve his goal to be undisputed. So if he's going to go for it, hopefully he hangs it all out on the line. He goes for it, but I think he's got to really work the angles. He's got to try and get to work the Haney's side, try and spin him, step to the side, just do that thing that he does, that wee kind of half step, that stutter step, roll underneath, then come with the body shots. The one thing he can do is obviously kind of like walk down the middle and get caught with something straight, because that's how he got caught off Linares. Walk right down the middle and got caught on a straight right hand, I think it was, and dumped on his arse. Haney can. I'm not going to say he's a massive hitter, but I think we've seen him ice people in the early half of his career. If he lobs that right hand in there, and it's a big long reach on it. If he gets a whip on it, it can do damage. So Loma will need to be kind of wary of that. Just keep the defence up and just kind of roll underneath and try and work the body. But it's going to be interesting to see early doors as to how he does, what ways to get into the body, because it's critical. I can see Haney blocking a lot of punches to the head, so the body work's going to have to be vital in that as well. And plus, if Haney has a bad weight cut, it's going to be vital to target that body.
Matty, final word to you. Say what you're going to say and give us your prediction, unless you gave it already and I missed it, dude.
Well, it's all a matter, of being able to slip that jab at the right distance. And I think Andy's right about the body shot. It's you slip inside of the jab, not worrying too much about his right hand. I mean, it's good, but it's not a world beater. And just trying to sink in that left hand into the body like you can, and hopefully you can get a hook as you're in there before he holds or whatever. And if that's what Lomachenko's able to really pull off, I mean, if he's able to get inside the jab, avoid the hold, and sink some body shots, it could be an interesting night, especially against a guy who very well could be weight drained. Again, you're very right, Andy. I think the body work could be key in this, thinking that, even if he's just a little bit of a struggle to make the weight, just try to take out that energy. So if Lomachenko pulls this off, I actually don't think he's going to win it by decision. If Loma wins it, I think he's going to get it by a late stoppage, but I think I'm going Haney decision.
Trying to remember, did Loma stop Linares on a body shot? I'm sure it was,
Yeah, he did. He got dropped by Linares in the 6th round with an overhand right, and then he stopped him with a body shot in the 10th.
Aye, that's right. You could be right, Mai. You could be right. Just keep chipping away.
It was a close fight. I think that it was even on one card, and they were up a point apiece on the other cards. It was a really high-level technical match.
Rob mentioned that, and I said it as well. It was probably one of those fights, high-level technical shit. Jesus, Matty, cough up my lung, baby. it was
waking up Chucker at 1:49.
It was. You okay, Matty? You start me coughing shortly. But
no, I thought I was on mute, and then I unmuted. So that went exactly the opposite as I had intended.
So what did you say, Steve? What was
it? Jim McDonald's. What's next for Matty's lungs?
Crematorium.
To be fair, we all sounded great there.
What was we talking about there?
I don't know.
You're talking about Linares versus Lomachenko and what gave him troubles in that one.
No, I was saying that was probably in terms of the two guys that maybe they'll peak, but certainly in terms of technical qualities, not in the offensive sense, that was one of the best fights you'll see.
Sexiest fight you'll see.
This
fucking
era,
spicy encounter. It was high level shit. Honestly, it was the anniversary of that fight recently, wasn't it? Because it was popping up on Twitter and that again.
Yeah.
But the shit, honestly, apart from listening to fucking Joe Tessitore bullshit about Lomachenko throughout the whole fight, if you watch it back, it was real fucking high level shit. Really, really good. And it's kind of a pity that Linares' face was made of fucking glass, because what a fighter he probably could have been.
Class, technically, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he was fucking brilliant to watch in his pomp, and kind of sad to see him get battered a few times, and just fucking beaten into fucking oblivion. He got his defeats were always really crushing defeats, weren't they? I think there was what's his name, Antonio DeMarco, made his face a mask of blood. Then when he went up to 140 and got fucking absolutely obliterated as well, didn't he, when he went up in weights? But he was fucking something else to watch, Linares. I really liked him, man. Really liked him.
He threw the best combinations during his era this side of Marquez, in my opinion, honestly. They just beautiful, balanced combinations at his peak.
He was just a fucking Latin flash, wasn't he? He's just fucking... His combinations were fucking... accurate. His hands were fast.
So talented.
His feet were great. He was brilliant. He just had that tendency to break down, didn't he? Remember DeMarco beat him? Fuck me. That was some shock.
He was dominating that fight.
Cano beat him.
I remember the DeMarco fight. It was completely
Cano when he went up to 140.
The early half here. Mm-hmm. And then they just seemed to 40 bits, and he got a bad cut across his nose, I'm sure, and he don't get knocked out in the end.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he got stopped, and that's funny how we talk about this all the time, and it's nearly cliched when you say fine margins, but Broner went on to fucking stop Antonio DeMarco to win a version of a world title. We could have had fucking Linares versus Broner at 130. Would have been unbelievable.
A fight, and God, with my luck, it probably did happen. I forgot about it. But Steve, Linares against Johan Guzman. That would have been.
They're in the same category. Both fantastic, amazing offensive fighters, combination punting, speed, power, but fundamentally flawed. Like Andy said, Guzman couldn't make weight, completely ill-disciplined, and Linares just had that tissue paper skin, And if you put it on him and you could punch a bit, like he couldn't stand up to it. Now look at him, Andy. He lost to a 13-3 fighter out in like Germany or something in his last fight. Linares.
Yeah,
that guy wouldn't have touched him in his prime.
That's what you say. He took an L out in Russia to, was it that Abdullayev?
Abdullayev, who lost to Devin Haney.
Aye, I mean, did you say in his prime, fucking Abdullayev gets nowhere near, but didn't even touch him. Wouldn't even have my jab.
That's the shit I loved about him as well. He's have gloves, will travel, isn't it? Like he go from Caracas to fucking Japan for a fight. Like he doesn't give a fuck. He was
with his wife with him as well.
He moved out there. Oof. You don't move to Japan.
He was a Tekken fighter in the early days of his career. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. There we are. Back to Takeshi's castle. Everything comes back in circles. Everyone happy with Lomachenko, Devin Haney? Then I'm looking forward.
What was the final predictions? Really? What was the final prediction from
Haney points? Everybody, I think.
Was it?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm not even doing the fucking prediction league, but I'm going to go Haney points.
Haney points, yeah.
I hear you.
Do you know what I found about the prediction league? You know, because it end up fucking up my enjoyment of watching the fights like fantasy football when I'm like cheering for fellas.
I've said that for years.
You know that way, yeah. It's just my enjoyment is way. I'm loving it way more now. I don't have to give an official prediction. So get a life, everybody in the fucking other group.
Rob, I hear you're not very good at sending in your emails.
No, I haven't. I think I did it the first week, and I was like, oh fuck it, it's too much. I've too much other shit to do.
It literally takes fucking like 60 seconds, as Steve well knows, like 60 seconds of your day.
I know.
Click.
My new rule is now, Matty. I just send. I make the pick within 60 seconds. Actually, that's what I do, and I just click it and send it in because otherwise you end up overthinking it.
Heat rules apply only to fucking Boxing Nutters fucking prediction league.
Right, let's move on to a fight that I'd actually forgotten about before Andy mentioned in the backstage. Katie Taylor.
You're a sexist, Steve.
Against Chantal. I've completely forgotten about it. I had Tanaka there and I had Haney-Lomachenko, and I've completely forgotten about poor old Katie, but we wish her well. Going in against Chantal Cameron in the 3 Arena, Dublin, next Saturday evening. I'm not going to this, but I am going to Michael Conlon. Dennis Hogan on the undercard against JJ Metcalf might be interesting. Terry Harper against Cecilia Breakhurst. Didn't realise that fight was on. Good luck to both of them. Gary Cully's fighting as well. Kevin Adjako, Maisie Rose Courtney, and Thomas Carty. It's all about the main event though, Matty. No better place to start than with you. Chantal Cameron, dangerous opponent, I think. She was saying during the week she doesn't think like she's going to get a decision in Dublin, which I would agree with. But I think Cameron's pretty decent. This should be a half-decent scrap for as long as it goes.
I think it is going to be a very good scrap. Probably going to go the distance, Steve. Let's be honest here. Pull no punches. I think this is a harder fight for Katie Taylor than Amanda Serrano. Amanda Serrano, about the same height as Katie, maybe a little bit shorter reach. Chantal Cameron has the 3-inch height advantage on her, 4-inch or so reach advantage on her. This is going to be at Cameron's weight of 140 pounds, not at 135, where Taylor has campaigned. Another fighter that gave her trouble in her career was Delphine Pursoon, who might not be a jab and straight fighter, but she's a bigger fighter. And I think if Cameron uses some combination of trying to box with Taylor at times and using the little bit of extra height and reach that she has on her, which is actually fairly significant, and then taking those moments when she might just have a moment with Taylor against the ropes to impose herself as the bigger fighter. I think Cameron is more than live in this fight, as do the books. But I think Cameron is going to have to win 7 rounds to get a draw. So.
You mentioned there Delphine Pursoon. Matty, she's fighting the week after, actually, against the lesser spotted Bomi Rishin. How'd you see that one going?
I have never seen Bomi Rishin fight before. So
does she want to kill Bill or something, that one?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to this one. It'll be on a Sunday for us, so hopefully it doesn't interfere with the podcast, and hopefully maybe they'll have it available for me on Fight TV, since they just get me a whole bunch of random shit that I normally wouldn't watch, and a bunch of shit that I would like to watch isn't there.
Yeah, it's not going to interfere with my Sunday anyway, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, your mind.
Andy, old Katie, someone made a good comment there and I forgot to bring it up. Imagine if after everything Taylor's achieved, she gets stopped in Dublin. I was going to say, this is exactly the question I had for you. You know what? They are running a fine line here, actually, I think. Considering she's on the slide, Cameron's not too bad. It's not inconceivable.
Isn't that a better question for Rob? Rob, is this how it ends for the
I'm telling you right now. I'm sitting listening to Matty there. I'm saying to myself, and it just twigged to me. I says, "This is going to be the type of fight, women's fight, that you got that you're hoping was the rounds were 3 minutes rather than 2, because I think this was going to come down to here. Actually, it's going to come down to the fact is we might not get something conclusive enough towards the end. I'm actually thinking that Cameron could stop her. Actually, I'm expecting it to turn into a bit of a war. Which if it is, I've always liked Cameron and how she goes about targeting the body. Really good body puncher. Katie's career at this point, it does look like it's now toward the end a wee bit. I think just in terms of how she's been performing, I think it's just been a long, hard career, and it might just be one step too far. It's been a fight we've all been kind of like calling for the last 3 or 4 years. And
Aussie has, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've also called for it as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And here we are. So I'm really looking forward to this one, actually. We'll be watching it live. And I think Cameron might win. And I want to go with the stoppage, but I think just because it's 2-minute rounds, it's in Dublin, she can't go out like that. I think she's got to bite down. I think she'll see it out to the bell. So I'll go Cameron on points, I think, with this one. Breakfast, I want to mention her actually. Surprising she's still going, actually. She's up in weight now. Yeah, I'm the same, actually. She was a bit of a trailblazer back in the day as well. She was unified champ, one of the first undisputed champs in that as well, before any of the men. Well, especially the recent fad in that anyway. But I think she'll beat Harper. I don't rate Harper, really, to be fair. If Breakfast,
she's a big dog, Andy. If you're really thinking
is.
that, she's paying about 4-1, I think.
There you go. I'd maybe put some money on that, Matty, because she's got the experience, decent jab. If she's still got the engine and she's had plenty of notice for the fight, I think experience in that will tell over the likes of Harper, to be fair.
Big A says if Katie gets KO'd, it'll be the Regency Hotel all over again. Jim McDonald says Eddie.
That's cold, man. That is cold.
Eddie will pull his plugs at his head, man. That's what will be happening.
We're getting pissed.
Can you imagine?
Oh
right?
my God.
That's why you can't have nice things, Rob.
Professional boxing just basically practically returns to Ireland, and Eddie pops up with the first big live show and the fucking
can we fucking please make sure the Katie Taylor fight goes off without nobody getting shot, please, in Dublin? Thank you. Fucking hell, we haven't had a pro fight here in fucking 7 years. Jesus Christ.
Eddie Rocker. Yeah. I think Uncle Dan's got something doing in the background, I think, possibly.
Well, if he does, he's a great lad, and he should be applauded for all the work he does with the fighters.
Foresaid.
I'm like a long playing record when it comes to Katie Taylor. I've said fucking for the last fight, like I said, I think it was last week on the pod, like it's 3 or 4 years ago since the Ruiz AJ fight. She was on the undercard looking very shaky against Pursoon in the rematch. It's arguable that she lost maybe both of those fights. I'll probably be fucking crucified in Ireland for saying that. I thought she kind of got the fucking rub of the green in the Olympic final as well, but don't fucking tell anybody. I think that, like, I won't be able to leave the house.
Rub of the green, Ireland.
Yeah, exactly. I think she's been a fantastic servant to the sport. She has probably single-handedly elevated women's boxing to where it is now. US citizens may think different and credit Christy Martin, but definitely on this side of the pond, the rise in the success of females boxing is down to Katie Taylor's success. The fact that they made women's boxing an Olympic sport was partially down to Katie Taylor winning 11 world titles and not being able to compete at the Olympics. So they lobbied heavily for that to be included. And I think the women's sport has grown massively due to Katie Taylor's influence. She's a credit to everything good in the sport. She's a great person. She's a great athlete. She's given so much to boxing. I just feel like DAZN and Eddie are rinsing her to the last euro, and pound note is falling out of her arse. And it's like they're bringing her to the 3 Arena. She could have easily took the Baumgartner fight at the 3 Arena, or Michaela Mayer, or somebody that she would be the favourite to beat. I don't think she's the favourite to beat Chantel Cameron. I think she's all wrong for her. I thought for a couple of years she's all wrong for her. she's going up in weight, as Andy mentioned, bigger fighter, giving away reach advantage and stuff. So I don't know, like there's miles on there's miles and miles on Katie Taylor's clock from her amateur career, hundreds and hundreds of amateur fights. As I said, 11 world titles, Olympic gold medalist and Olympic silver medalist, I think, or bronze medalist, and then undefeated as a pro across, I don't know, 25 fights or something like that. Maybe less than that. I don't know. I'm not sure what her record is, but I don't think this is a good fight for her. Like, and at the 3 Arena, the pressure's all on her. There hasn't been a fight here in Ireland for a long time. I think she'll go out on her shield. Like, Katie Taylor will go out to fight no matter what. Like, she'll go out and trade and she'll go to the last bell. But there was times in the Serrano fight, I thought she looked like she was after stiffening up. And I think the wheels have been coming off for a couple of years. And how long do you want to keep her going until she gets beat? Like, I think Katie Taylor should have retired and bowed out gracefully already. After the Serrano fight would have been the perfect time for her to retire. She doesn't owe the sport anything. What is she now? 35. I think the Cameron, it's a big ask for her. So I think Cameron's right too. Like, unless she wins it, like 10, I think they're 10-round fights out of the women's fights. Or are they 12?
10-2.
10-2. So I think unless she kind of wins like 8-2, she's not going to get a decision. Even if she's like 2 rounds up, I think they're gonna look to have Katie win this fight and try to cash her out at Croke Park. I don't think she can stay at Croke Park out. If she could, she probably would have already. But like I said, I don't know. I think Katie Taylor will get the decision, but I think Cameron would probably be the rightful winner, if that makes sense. Rather, unless she fucking, she gets old overnight and she gets stopped.
I think, Andy, it'll be. I get all the arguments. I think it'll be Katie Taylor on points and a close-ish, but no, I think Taylor just about done enough. Possibly.
Oh, mate, can you imagine, like, after this week's fucking shocking officiating for judges and referees, if we get something dodgy next week, and it really kicked. I mean, if you think what happened in the Battle of the York Hall was something, wait till the Battle of the fucking 3 Arena kicks off, mate.
Well, Breakhouse is on the undercard, isn't she, versus Terry Harper? I've got some inside scoop on who she's coming to the ring with. So Gervonta Davis recently came to the ring with Chief Keef and did a rendition of Love Sosa. Breakhouse is coming to the ring with Swing Out Sister, and they're going to do Breakhouse.
Terry Harper's coming out rewired.
She's coming out with 2 battered sausages, a wrist roll, and a bag of chips.
She'll be having a fucking FaceTime call with Canelo. Canelo will be asking her, remember I'm your biggest
Canelo's
fan.
A massive fan of her. I think her and Callum Smith can't go anywhere in Mexico, the 2 of them.
And do you think it says, can Taylor tag Hornswoggle in for fuck's sake.
Finlay was the shit, man. Finlay and Hornswoggle were great, man.
Oh, some wisecrackers. I'm looking forward to it now. I'm definitely looking forward to Lomachenko Haney, though. You staying up on that?
I'm actually thinking about it. I might be Lazarus, mate. I might make one great comeback. I think I might do it, mate. I might do it. I might just take a wee nap during the day.
I've got up for a few fights recently. I got up for the Ryder. It's not too bad. Just hit your alarm, you fucking, you know what I mean?
What's the UK provider, mate? What's the UK provider for the fight?
A lad that me and Ozzy know.
I know, but
Sky is showing Haney Lomachenko normal Sky, apparently.
Yeah, because it's Top Rank, isn't it?
I've not got Sky.
Yeah, they wouldn't charge pay-per-view for that. Harper stumbling around Dublin.
You get a stream on Facebook for that, dude. You get a stream anywhere for that.
Is it on Fight TV?
I don't know.
If it is, I'll just use my VPN if it is.
I'm not sure.
If not, I'm sure you can get like a weekend.
No, normal.
Pass
It wouldn't. But yeah, it wouldn't be if Sky. I think Sky Sports is showing it.
Probably have to like get your.
You get a 24-hour pass with Sky these days.
I bet.
Yeah, you can go if you get a Now TV. Like you can go online and you can get online and get like a weekend pass for Sky Sports or something like that.
Yeah.
Use your VPN and like it's probably like watch it on like Australian television without an issue.
Or Ukrainian tele, possibly.
Do they still have
I think you should use legal means. You should all use legal means to watch the fight. They're not
Wait.
It's supposed to be hardcores.
They're hardcores. I mean, these, some countries are actually showing this fight on free air TV. If you've got a VPN like your man has here, I just switch it on. I'm in Germany within 2 seconds, and voila, free air TV.
Underbar.
Well, and let's be honest. Andy's heart will always be in Bangladesh, no matter where he is physically.
No idea what the fuck that means. But anyway.
Doesn't have to mean anything whatsoever.
All right, let's move on to Value of the Week.
Yay!
Episode 523, everybody. Matty's enjoying himself over there. That's the main thing. So
I don't know what's going on.
So is Andy. Just to play us in this week, we're probably going to get pelters for this, but shout out to Joe Burns, friend of the pod, getting married. He's got married. He's away in Mexico this weekend. He sent in a little video to the Boxing Nutters message.
Don't fucking do it. Don't do it. What's the matter with him?
He's done.
His honeymoon in Mexico.
No, he's back home and all. He's back home.
He just, you shouldn't have done it.
She seems like a very nice gal. She's a very nice looking gal.
They all seem like that at the fucking start. That's the fucking trick.
That's the bad bit.
I bet people would pay good money to see a fight between her and Mrs. Kelly. I bet it would be
I wouldn't put any money on his missus anyway. I'll tell you that much. My missus
like IFL man stuff about Astrid Wet.
She got a KO ratio as Mrs. Kelly, but anyway, yes.
Yeah, stick your fucking parlay on that one, Matty.
Joe Burns has sent a message into the Boxing Nutters group celebrating his wedding, and he asked me to play it, so I said I would. Here we go.
Hello, you hardcore boxing fans out there. How you doing? Paul. I can't fucking do it. What's next for Dave Allen? And what's Jimmy Happy's real name? How old is he? 6 James. Into the people.
This episode's gonna get pulled for that music clip.
Copyright, yeah, asshole. You're gonna get us fucking kicked off YouTube.
He took a line before he done that video. Fucking certain.
Should have took one before he said I do.
Oh, he was on that Cedric Sniff, I can tell you right now.
Oh man, good lad, Joe. Shout out to the Dr. FMG as well.
What's the air freshener, by the way? What's he doing with air freshener?
15 Australian dollars.
Just
the magic tree. Just putting out an SOS welfare check on Felix Cash. Thank you very much, Dr. FMG. You shouldn't have done that, but we appreciate it anyway. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Oh, that's big dough. That's big dough, that, isn't it? Australian dollars.
Oh, right, definitely.
Double
your money.
It's
double your money. Try to get rich.
You guys have a lot of money that goes from Australia back to Ireland now, don't you?
Allegedly.
Half the Irish workforce out in Australia these days, man. What
we lost all the good ones. You want to see what's left? Fucking hell.
I'm curious to see the.
Australia.
I'm curious to see the.
I read it. I never went.
I'm curious to see the generation of half Samoan, half Irish kids that are to come in the next decade or so. Those are going to be some badass boxers around there.
Well, apparently there was a lot of fucking alleged hard men that went out of Ireland that found out they weren't hard until when they ran into some Samoan bouncers in Australia.
Yeah, that's a rough lesson to learn right there.
McDonald Steve saying that everybody should make a video like your man just done there, actually, and post it in. A Porky tribute video.
I never noticed the music in the background. Good lad, Joe. No, he done his best. Yeah, we have another video to play later. We'll get to that as quick as we can. A few people are asking us if we're going to cover the DAZN show tonight. Absolutely, of course we are. We're hardcore boxing.
Fuck's sake.
Where's Ozzy when you need him? Where is Ozzy when you need him?
That's almost 900. Was that 800 pounds of fucking flesh in there, man? That's a whole lot of man. Like, look at Jesus Christ. What was the result?
The one on the left stopped the other one in the second round.
Really?
Accumulation of shots.
Accumulation.
He landed 1.5 blows.
Fuck me, man. 1.5 minute rounds. What saw that about?
The fella on the right was there putting his fucking gum shield in.
Well, let's see if there's something to watch. Who actually watched this shit, man?
I just saw it on Twitter, the stoppage. Like, I saw the link that the lads put in the chat. Like, I didn't
watch that shit on YouTube, man, or fucking.
It looks like a screenshot from a weight loss challenge show. It does not look like a fucking boxing weigh-in.
There's John O'Carroll with the beard there in the middle as well. Wings of Redemption, 404 pounds against Boogie 2988, combined 257 stone.
Was that pay-per-view, by the way? Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Was it? I just checked it.
I hope it wasn't pay per pound.
It was 19. It was 19 quid. Can you imagine if you fucking bought that? You end up getting charged like 5-10 times, like the poor bastard did for the Ryan Garcia fight. Oh shit! And it's just to see Joe, non-elite athlete, Fourier get fucking iced off an elbow. It should have belonged to Muay Thai or something like that. Fuck's sake!
The purse bid for this was in Just Eat vouchers, I heard.
Eddie still lost it.
They shouldn't have had John Fisher referee. John Fisher was refereeing and going, I'm not refereeing this two fat cunts. Fuck that.
thing is, I think if John Fisher was there, man, John Fisher would have got in the middle of the two guys and says, look, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. You're fucking dedicated to your craft, boys. Bunch of Chinese later on.
Well, you know,
jokes aside, jokes aside, because they're still, you can always joke at these guys, but wouldn't the fucking funny, well, not funny, it's not funny, but wouldn't the strangest thing to happen last night is that one of these two just dropped dead in the ring and that would have been Misfits over forever. Because, like, it could have happened. No, but could have, like, you can't be putting fellas fucking 50 stone in the fucking ring. Like, come on, like. Well, that's not right, getting them to do physical under the lights and everything. One of them could have easily cracked it. There's no no guarantees they'd finish a fight. Like,
phone in, mate. Phone in, please.
I'm gonna trace this back to when Andre Berto was paid $1 million to fight Freddie Hernandez. When you can pay people a purse like that and get junk like that, or you can pay these two hefty gentlemen in chips and curry sauce. Eventually, chips and curry sauce is going to win out. It's just economics.
What I'm getting at is that, like, KSI and Misfits, like, I don't know a fucking thing about these guys. Like, I'm an old man. I'm 45 in a few months. I don't know who Deji and Swarms are. I know some of the Pawn Stars. I've never watched them fight. I've no interest in watching them fighting. These two fat lads, I wonder to myself, look at it. I've seen a few. I'm not big on the titles. What was I going to say? Fucking the two lads fighting, like how I was thinking to myself, who sanctioned this to let these two pass a medical and get in for a fucking professional licensed boxing? Exactly,
the Boxing Association. The
Professional Boxing Association, which is owned by who?
Professional Bowlers Association.
Talk about dragging boxing's reputation to the sport. KSI, the YouTuber, owns PBA, the fucking commission who licensed all these fights.
KSI.
He's knocked out a fella with a running elbow, and there's two fellas that were a combined weight of 57 stone getting licensed to fight. Like, honestly, if one of them had just died, it would have maybe shut all this shit down, but who knows where it's going to go from here. Like,
it'd been amazing though if it just like a fight to the finish, rather than this 1.5 minute rounds. As Rob says, you want to see somebody drop down, so let them fight to the finish.
Man, the fella, no, it was sad. The fella on the right took a few smacks, and like, he looked out of the ring, like, it was like, please, somebody come and get me, like, a fucking, I don't know, an airlift me out of this fucking
Rob, you've got to respect everyone who gets in the ring. Rob,
you need a fucking Chinook to get him out the ring, mate. Fuck's sake.
Put him in 1898 rules where it just doesn't stop until somebody does it out.
Aye, like Sam McVeigh versus Jack Johnson in fucking Paris, 45 rounds, mate. Keep going till one person drops.
Yeah, man, we should do our own. The PBE, if they get sanctioned, anyone can who wants it in the Boxing Nutters Boxing League.
Can we really afford the insurance?
Two behemoths fighting there, or trying to fight, and then you got
KSI. Imagine if one of us died. Imagine the views the pod would get that night.
Oh man, Eddie Hearn's first interview by IFL will be fucking tremendous, man.
I'm not saying that. I'm not casting any aspersions on these two guys and saying that they're overweight, but when you get like Japanese fishermen showing up outside the fucking venue with harpoons, you know you're fucking in trouble. Like,
well, listen.
KSI thought it was Tom Poe, man, throwing fucking elbows about the place.
Let's be serious. This is Misfits, right? So be thankful that this isn't real boxing. This would never happen in a real boxing ring. We can all be glad of that. But Wellington has done some unrivaled research.
Yeah, but Butterbean, by the way, back
done some unrivaled research, and here we go. Saturday the 13th of August, 2016, in the Lumiere Casino, St. Louis, Missouri. Dom Richards was the doctor, no doubt on hand. This is a professional boxing show. Look right down at the bottom of the screen there. Jordan Maxey, £370, coming in at a sprightly 26 stone against Charles Rogers, 31.5 stone.
Maxie wasn't an ironic nickname, by the way.
So these boys, the Trailblazers here 7 years ago, just leading to this. That's where it all started. That's where it is. This is where it started.
Did you say it was 31.5 stone?
Yes.
So that's what, like 430 pounds, give or take?
31.5 stone. That's like, what am I, 14.5? Fucking hell, man. Like, that'll be having me eat myself my own body weight over before I have a look at myself and go, I think this has gone too far. I want to fucking cut back.
Holy
fuck.
Take a step back and have a think to yourself.
I'd be fascinated by that shit. Like, honestly, you know, like the fellas on Jerry Springer and all had to cut him out of the house for the fucking chainsaw. Like, you know, they're crying on the telly. Like, where now? You think it's too late, asshole? Fuck me.
Get on the Mars bar diet now, get a Mars bar stuck up your ass and get a Rottweiler or chase you down the fucking street. That was to get the weight off.
Battered Mars bar if you're in Scotland. You can get.
I'm actually amazed, like that they can like make it to the ring and even go through with this. I mean,
how did they get up the stairs to the ring, man? How did they even get into the ring?
I mean, for their relative size, maybe they're fairly healthy, I guess. By
should have had them fight in a supermarket or something like that, you know, supermarket sweep type thing. You know, just fucking.
But what's next? Like, what are they going to do? Like, what's next? How do you follow that? Like, fucking hell.
You follow that with the dessert. They always do.
They've had a little, what's the correct term? Midgets. They had a little midget show, didn't they, on Misfits as well, like Little Man. He was going around fighting fellas. He was only like a midget or whatever. I don't know if he's fighting like tall lads or whatever. But what's next? Like, what's next? What's next for me?
They should put him in against Fundora.
Rob, I'm going to give you an idea, right? As I mentioned just last week there about that fight in Spain, the transgender fight.
The Inter Milan fight you were talking about last week.
That's what's going to happen. We're going to get transgender fights. We're going to get guys with HIV versus guys who've got AIDS. We'll have some.
At least there's going to be something on the line.
We've had tag team boxing. We'll need to get a steel cage match shortly with the gloves on. Tables and chairs, fucking wet.
Danny Young sent this in. Chippy Tits.
I thought that was the fucking new Sam Smith performance at the Brits.
Oh my god.
I'll never be able to eat pancakes again.
Guilty free, they got no rhythm.
Fat man got no rhythm.
Well,
look at the belly on him. Holy fuck.
Hey, where do you keep your pencils?
Look at his arms. Oh my god, this guy. Well, listen.
I guess he's got the right place. He's got his armpits there to keep his chips warm, you know. So.
Elusive Raph has been on the case, him of unrivaled research fame, and he said, "It took me a while to realise this, but ultimately the YouTuber genre of boxing is good for the sport.
For
Even
fuck's sake,
if the
here we
casual
go with this
hardcore
guy.
conversion rate is 1% minus that 1% of such a big customer pool, it's still a massive influx of eyeballs. And to the benefit of the sport, there you go, Elusive Raph.
Fuck him, man. That's the kind of, is that the Hispanic version of fucking Lee Wiley?
Yeah.
Is that who that is?
It's boxer size one. That's what we call him.
He's nearly fucking day-one. That's what he's fucking.
He'd want to take his fucking eyeballs and put them somewhere else, wouldn't he? Fuck off, Raph. Like,
do one.
I try to be
for his blue tick as well. Look at him still paying for his. They took mine. Let him take it. I'm not paying for a blue tick. Fucking look at him. Pay $7.99 so people will respect my opinion. Boxer size one. Oh, fucking cha out of here.
I try to be a glass half full kind of person, but his glass is half full of fucking acid. Good God.
Hopefully he drinks it. Anyway, good luck to Raph. That's
If
what
it's
I
sulfuric.
On to real boxers. I apologise. Conor Benn in tears admits regrets and wants to come home. There he is.
He already sold up the pool behind him.
He was doing the Crocodilos on Brutalmente on Esto with Radio Raheem, saying that he just fucking started ranting and bullshitting about, you know, my kids, what will my kids think of me? And he pretended to cry. And you could tell Radio Raheem wasn't believing it, but he didn't call him out on his bullshit either. I would have just said, man, there's no tears coming down your face. Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Just fucking, do you know what I mean? And I saw someone put a point on Twitter today. I don't know, because they changed the algorithms on Twitter, so I see mad shit that I'm not following. But one guy was like, Rolly Romero's back in a title fight, and he had some serious allegations against him. And Conor Bain is still fucking going around crying on YouTube channels. But like, the difference is Rolly shut the fuck up and said nothing and just came back. And this fella fucking publicly campaigned his innocence everywhere. Yeah. He's so emotional. What was wrong with him? Oh, that's brilliant, Albert. Fucking brilliant. Yeah, that's exactly. That's hit the fucking nail on the head. Like, to the layman and to the dog in the street, he looks guilty as fuck. I wish he'd just go away. Do you know that way?
What about Australia boxing though, Rob? They're saying there, like I said, people should leave this man alone. I believe him. I don't think he did anything wrong at all.
Australia boxing wouldn't be biased towards Conor Bain or anything. Not the fact that he fucking lives out there.
Does he live in Australia?
Yeah. His dad.
Yeah.
Any place he can get a license.
He's not a priest, you know.
No.
Ebbs think he's innocent.
That's what he needs then, Steve. You need to connect the two. He needs Father Dave in his life, man. This man is seeking redemption. Father Dave can help him find it.
Only people that think he's innocent are Father Dave, Joe Mangle, and Alf Ramsey.
This is Father Dave, and you're listening to the Boxing Asylum podcast.
Harold, Kylie Minogue,
Alf Stewart.
Oh man, Kylie Minogue 20 years ago. Good fucking God, what a good look.
No, man.
That was your
Is she
first
still?
wank,
I was 18. I would hope I had done it before then.
You should be so lucky. Lucky.
Well, yeah. Now that Conor Ben's transitioned, it could be used. I'm not sure whether you're allowed to say that actually, now that I'm thinking it.
Transformed.
It's out there now. He could maybe use Anthony Joshua's new line of products, the Femi Bin.
What's that red mark in the middle?
That's where his career is going.
Steve, what's that red mark in the middle there?
Good point. I don't know actually.
Pregnancy test is a built-in one.
Snail trail.
Good luck to them, I say.
The Femi Bin. What's going in that?
Snail trail.
Tea bags. Seen it Subway the other day. Thought I'd take a photo as you do. Ebbs. No, this is Rick Glazer actually. I've had enough of Rick Glazer.
Yeah, fuck Rick Glazer.
Oh, he was shit on Tony Weeks, so he's okay.
Oh, was he? Yeah.
Aye.
Everyone is shitting on Tony Weeks. Even his fucking family is shitting on Tony Weeks today.
Yeah. He's a disgrace to his race.
Mm-hmm. Joe Kennedy reinvigorated this one this week, and I thought this would be quite interesting. Actually, he was having a back and forth with Ebbs back in September 2020, and Ebbs threw something in quite interesting here, Andy. She says, "No, I feel for you. I'm a boxing fan too, but I don't pay for pay-per-view. I stream everything, so I'm not hurt by it either."
Yeah, you know, streaming guys, you don't have to fucking pay for it. Just fucking stream it.
Fucking brilliant, man. Team Ebbs.
Are you gonna join the Ebbs Appreciation Society now?
I might do now, yeah.
Well, I'm sure no one will mind if you join the Ebbs Appreciation Society.
Steve, I've just found Ozzy's burner account on the YouTube chat at ABC. See him?
Where's that? What's he
Definitely
saying?
odds. 100% odds.
ABC.
Like 1%, 2, 3.
That fella?
You and me.
That's the one.
Oh yeah, I'd say so. Oh dear. The Dr. Jones Vijay has been nominated as well. He says, congratulations to Gervonta Davis on his great knockout win over Ryan Garcia. I saw the epiphany. It happened the way God revealed it to me. Check my recent tweet. Ryan Garcia's success is never ending. Failure is never final. There you go.
Failure's never final. What's he writing captions for AJ? What the fuck does that mean? That's straight out of the AJ playbook, that one, isn't it? Don't let your failures define you, but let your wins teach you about your losses, and your losses teach you about your draws, and flip yourself around 360, but then flip yourself back around. Fuck off, man. Big meat.
AJ's just found the title to his autobiography by the way, so we'll be getting that shit copyrighted very soon. Failure's never final.
Failure's never final. Unbelievable. Dr. Chase. What a fucking guy. Go on, the doctor.
Gosh.
Failure's never final for this guy anyway.
AB, man. Look, AB sitting there like, I've made some dumb shit moves, but this is the fucking biggest win I've ever done. And
Look at all
Don King dressed like a fucking Russian war veteran, and he's got the fucking with all the badges and that, and he's got the fucking flags like the
flags. He loves a flag, doesn't he?
I tell you what, right? Fuck AI. I want to find out more about the fucking DNA. This guy has survived the fucking civil rights movement, a beat a murder rap, the Muhammad Ali prison. He beat the fucking IRS, and somehow in 2023, Mike Tyson dangling him out of a window. Somehow in 2023,
federal court cases.
Still fucking kicking in his 90s with that hair, and he's fucking bringing back AB. Shut that shit up. Don King, a fucking legend. Him and Bob Arum, man. I swear to God, right? If World War III broke out in the morning and they nuked the whole fucking planet, Bob Arum and Don King would pop up together waving flags somewhere on fucking
with Keith Richards playing a benefit concert. I was just thinking, man, fucking when Michael Jackson held his kid out over the fucking balcony at the hotel.
His kid.
Don King was probably having flashbacks. Yeah.
His kid. Kids the same colour as me, the two of them. Fuck me.
Are you saying you're the father of Michael Jackson's children?
AB though, man. I'm a dumb fuck.
Good luck to AB, I say.
See, Keith Richards. I met one of them before. The Rolling Stones. I was doing a show in fucking for Guinness Day, Arthur's Day in Dublin, and some English rapper hadn't made the flight, and DJ MK gave me a shout. He was like, I was coming to meet him. He was like, "Oh, look, we need to do a performance to jump on the stage." With this group, but like I only listen to hip hop, so I don't know like loads of other groups or whatever. But I met the guy, and apparently like it was a mix up of Baby Shambles, which is Pete Doherty's group, and the Arctic Monkeys, and they were called Mongrel. But I met the guy like, and I was like saying to him like, because they told me like just go to this room, meet this guy, like whatever. So I met him, and I was like, "Oh, how's the music going?" And he was like, "I'm in Baby Shambles." I was like, "All right, cool. How's Pete Doherty?" Because he wasn't there. Like I was like, "How's the other guy?" Not the fucking. I didn't know that guy. Like I only knew Pete Doherty, obviously. But I saw this old fella with like a real young girlfriend. I was like, "Who's your man?" Like at the bar with this fucking young Russian one. Like and she fucking draped over him. I was like, "What's going on here?" And I was like, "This fella looks familiar or whatever." But then someone was like, "Oh, that's fucking one of the Rolling Stones." I don't know. Not Keith Richards. I don't know. One of them. But that's sorry for fucking hijacking this. It's pointless story. Anyway, basically, I was in the bar with one of the Rolling Stones. I didn't know who the fuck they were, and he had a young girlfriend.
And then you're like, "I wish I was a rock star," and here we are.
Probably Ronnie Wood or something, was it?
Ronnie Wood, that's the guy. That's the guy.
Dude,
Ronnie
that
Wood.
guy was a hell of a guitarist, man. He also played with Faces. He was a fucking space shredder.
It was cool. On that show, I ended up doing the show anyway with the guys. I don't know. I didn't really. They were sound anyway. All of them. Some of them were in Reverend in the Makers. Some were in Baby Shambles, and some were in Arctic Monkeys. They're all very sound. But on that show, it was me, them, Calvin Harris, Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child, Republic of Loose from Ireland, Jamie Callum, the little jazz singer, and the full lineup of the original Soul to Soul. So it wasn't a bad day out in the end.
Where were you at in the booking?
I was very low, but I got a free ticket in, so it was great.
Oh, good day.
He's punching above his weight, like AB, with old Don King there. Pull out, Gate, Fraser Clark, ready for the Fabio Award fight. Oh, absolutely. He needs a 10-rounder, says Ben Shalom. Great promoter that he is, showing his true colours. Why the
he's running this show,
I don't know. Oh, like...
Tell you what, everything I said, see, last year when I was like winding up Eddie, because I know he listens to even Ned, and saying Ben Shalom was the greatest fucking thing since, I take it all back, man. I was just bullshitting. It was only to wind up Eddie. He's a fuck. He doesn't know what he's doing. Like, what the and by the way, Who gives a flying fuck about Fabio Wadley and Fraser Clark? I never heard so much commotion about a fucking fight between two British fucking fellas who haven't beaten shit between the two of them, fighting for a British title that's going to purse bids, and all of a sudden it's fucking national news. When you get a life, nobody gives a fuck about these two until they beat a live body. Fuck off. Oh.
Meanwhile, we've got fighters getting robbed and attempted robberies left and right every other fucking week. But yeah, this shit's going to make fucking social media break news.
These two dipsos are on fucking social media arguing about who's the A and the B side. You're both the fucking B side.
It's a British title fight.
You're both the fucking B side. Shut up, will you? Fuck's sake.
You're the B side, you a-holes. That's how that works.
Well, not to go off track too much because it's Belly of the Week, but I don't really rate Clark as highly as they do. I actually would pick Wardley to beat him. I don't know whether that's a stupid take or not, but I mean, what's Shalom seeing here?
I don't think it fucking matters either way.
See, it's something different than everybody else, judging by the fucking signings he's making.
Jesus,
at the
man,
moment.
I could get my 3-year-old son to run fucking Sky's boxing fucking content better than Ben Shalom.
Bean's gone now. Boxing's good, bro.
You gotta feel for Shalom, like, you know, he fucking makes the big statement signing fucking Buatsi and Okolie. Fellas are leaving the fucking venue when Buatsi is fighting, and now he's pulled out of the purse bids here. He's having a mare, isn't he, Ben Shalom? He's in at the deep end, like.
And he's like one shocking performance for Okolie away for shutting the doors, man. Folk would just be like, "We want a refund, man. This is fucking reported on the trade description that for non-performance."
Look,
you need Bean. See, this why you need Bean back, because Bean was brilliant at convincing the public that they were watching something different that was actually happening. And right now, everybody can see what's happening, and there's nobody to tell him any different. You need Bean back. Macklin don't give a fuck. You need Bean back. We'll never forget.
Look, if there's not a chance of somebody getting hit by a chair hooked by a traveler, I don't fucking care if they signed it or not. I have no skin in the fucking game.
Wrecking New York, all that day. Absolutely run a riot. Holy shit, that video.
Battle of York Hall.
Oh my god.
The poor bastard getting ice with that chair, man. I wonder what he's like this morning when he woke up. Hey.
I looked after him. It wasn't looking
He's got a soft chin though, man, if he's getting dropped off a fucking plastic chair. Jesus fucking Christ.
It's the ones that you don't see that get you, you know what I mean?
It's the ones you don't see coming at them.
Terry O'Connor had him up at the time the chair landed, Andy.
Jack Reese wanted to continue. So another chair, he said.
Terry O'Connor picked him back up, put him back in the action.
Tony Weeks originally called it a push, though.
Oh, right. Quick, we better move on quickly. Graham Houston was going in on DAZN.
He's got me blocked on Twitter. Fuck him.
Asking the good. Well, the value of the week for DAZN is the fact that they block you apparently as well, Andy. Talking of being blocked from different areas. So if you DAZN Italy are putting on a card,
you're geo blocked,
yeah. Watch it in DAZN.
Geo blocked Italy. You like that one?
What? So if you're watching a show in Italy, you can only watch it in Italy, is that right?
Yeah. DAZN Canada can only watch the Canadian cards. Like, so if you're a boxing fan, you can't watch all of the action. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
So literally, you're actually getting like 150% increase. So was it £200 a year for subscription, right? You kind of get a month-to-month fucking contract, and you kind of get the content that you pay for.
Yeah. Get on DAZN. There's no fights for you.
Tutto bene. Tutto bene.
Steve Bunt, if I live 50 or 60 more years, I'll never come across a man like Canelo Alvarez. He's a unique individual.
Oh,
yeah, he's a Mexican with red hair, asshole. No shit.
Fuck me, man. This is the guy who's been running with boxing his entire life. Hey, fuck me.
Someone put me onto a funny Bunts video, actually. I haven't got it cut in time, so I'll hopefully get it for future weeks. I haven't got it for tonight, but yeah, watch this
space. Cowards that put you onto that Bunts video.
I mean,
watch this space.
After timer comment.
It's a little bit like this one, actually, an old favourite. It's a bit like this one I'm going to play now.
I mean, you were literally fighting every month before you fought Joe Frazier in Kingston, Jamaica.
Kingston, Jamaica, man.
More fire.
Apollo, Georgia.
Do you want this box? Some shit.
Gad Rodigan.
So Mark Stanton says, Bunsey living another 50 years.
Fucking, can you imagine? Fucking
him and Jeff Bezos.
New Yorker, the Mamadova way.
Fuckers like Bunsey who will live another 50 years.
See when Bunsey does, he goes, man, I hope he gets put on his fucking headstone. A white Britain.
Right, last one. Frotch. I'm too big, too strong for Canelo. Ryan Garcia is the biggest hype job in boxing. He's class and he Frotch.
I've not watched any podcasts, man.
I love him nowadays, man. I used to fucking hate him, but I actually fucking love him nowadays. He is actually self-aware. Like, I used to think years ago that that he was just fucking unaware of his own bullshit, but he's totally fucking conscious of it, like, and plays up to it. So fair play to Frotch. Hard bastard in the ring. Mm-hmm. Never laid a glove on Ward, and he can't get over it. But apart from that, he's good.
Good stuff. Right, final video before we go to our picks. Misfits boxing is all the rage, and someone sent me a video through the week going back in time to Cali Sauerland in the middle of one of these Misfits boxing cards.
What's this going to look like?
Two young ladies at the weigh-in. One of them reaches into her undergarments and pulls out quite an interesting object. Let's have a look.
Oh no!
Hi. Just make sure he don't move forward too much.
Get it! Eyes front.
What's she throw? A fish. A fish. Allah! She threw a fish.
Oh shit!
What?
She pulled
a tampon at her?
She pulled a. Where did the fish come from?
Boxing. Fuck's sake. The fish was just in there, by the way. The fish was just fucking in there. She didn't plant that.
She pulled the fish out of her knickers and threw it at the other girl.
Imagine the smell of that, man. Like another bro fucking trawler. That's what it was fucking stinking like.
Apparently the fish was in there.
Fuck me.
Jesus, it stinks in here.
God damn it.
I'm getting visions
of
that.
I'm getting one really good joke there, and you beat me to it.
I'm getting visions of that.
Yeah, well, listen, timing is everything, baby. Timing beats speed.
ABC, tell me about the haddocks. Oh, fuck. We're going to have to look at that Rumble subscription again tonight, I think.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Rumble. Yeah, we'll be on with all the Nazis next week.
Young man Rumble, man. Fuck.
Rumble, young man Rumble.
Why are we so fucking demented? What the fuck is wrong with us?
Boxing is what's wrong with us. These bitches are pulling our fishes out of their knickers. What the fuck are you blaming us for? We're supposed to do with that.
Terrible state of affairs, Rob.
I mean, you think of things you want to see in a way, and it's up there, but it's not the one that you're expecting. You know that way.
I tell you what, man. You dream of nights like this, but failing to live up to expectations. That a woman pulls a fish out of snatch and launches it at you like it's a fucking dart. Fuck me! What the fuck is going on in boxing? Jesus.
Larry Merchant or not fucking Larry Merchant. What's his name? What's homeboy's name off HBO? Lampley just crying, commentating on the tears running down his face.
HRT patches fell off.
I've shown you a lot of things on HBO over the years.
HBO After Dark.
Out of the shadows. Let's go through them quickly then.
I've got a few, mate.
Yes, sorry, go ahead, Andy. You throw yours in first.
I've got one for obviously the Tony Weeks. I just put up the cards actually for last night. That Tim Cheatham had it 76, 75. He had it way too close, man. Way too close. I think Weisfeld card's probably right. 78, 73. Shakur Stevenson calling out Eddie Hearn, by the way. So Eddie Hearn's just signed the Olympian. The Cuban,
Cruz.
Andy Cruz Jr.
Yeah,
and Eddie Hearn's saying 1,000,000% he wants to make the Keyshawn Davis rematch.
Doesn't he's fuck
for Cruz's pro debut. 1,000,000% he says. So you cannot fight no happening. He's bluffing. He's bullshitting. Ain't no way that guy's gonna be fighting Keyshawn Davis with 8 ounce gloves on a pro debut, man. What the fuck are you talking about, Eddie?
What a fucking hoe bag.
Not saying Andy Cruz can't. I tell you what, Andy Cruz is a hell of a fighter, and it remains to be seen what he can do at pro. But he's not going straight into a fucking pro debut with Keyshawn Davis. Eddie, give me a break, man. Will you?
Eddie's a nuisance, isn't he?
He's a fucking fud. One for I seen this guy put out at No Smoke Sport on Twitter. he shows the clear angle of KSI knocking out Joe Fournier with an elbow, right? And he asks the question, should this win be voided? I'm like, voided? Are you fucking kidding me? Is anybody even interested in that fucking shit? You want to void it? Fuck off, man. Our man in the white shirt getting iced off a plastic chair at the York Hall, the Battle of York Hall, was always good to see. And how can we forget, by the way, the fighting man himself, John Fury. We'll get involved in the fights there last night, man. He was saying that he was trying to break it up, mind you, but I'm assuming he'll be coming out in IFL in a couple of days' time, saying, if I got started, I'd have pulled that guy's eye out or something like that. You just never know.
No, he's commented on it. He said to Cougs, didn't he? Cougs pulled him on it and said, John, you normally so fucking... He was like, but if I'm his father, so my role is to teach him better. So I didn't jump in. I didn't lose the nut, because if I lose the nut, anything can happen. Big fucking liar. You shit yourself, didn't you, John? Shit himself. As soon as the punches start flying about, he fucking shit himself. No, look, I don't know. He has his eye on the prize, don't he? He don't want to fuck up the payday, the big payday between KSA and Tommy Fury, who definitely didn't have a staged face-off in the ring last night. What's Tommy Fury at, by the way? Can he fight a fucking fighter, by the way? We forgave him for Jake Paul. Now he's going straight into KSI. Fuck's sake.
But he's just trying to be the king of that type of fighter.
He's found the market now. Oh, I'll tell you one that actually, another one.
Laughing all the way into the bank. Joe was on me. What am I complaining about? Fuck me.
One for Joe Joyce. Did anybody catch that clip on Twitter? But it was an interview. I forget it was with settings out, possibly. So, Joe, tell us what happened in the fight. Well, it's a hard one to explain because, well, the tactics and that, it was completely different to what we'd planned, and then, I was like, this is riveting stuff, man.
He's class. I love him, man. He's brilliant.
He's not making any excuses. Like,
I was like, Zhang's really fucking tuned this guy up, man. He can't remember what fucking.
I think he said in the end, they were like, "What happened, Joe?" And he's like, Zhang hits really hard." They were like, "Fucking hell."
It's a shame Zhang didn't rewire him that much that he started like talking like V for Vendetta or something, like coming up with 11.
Start saying his idols were big meats and all. Really get fucking rewired.
Big meat. That's all I've got, Steve.
Lovely stuff, thank you, Andy. Matty, any from you, please?
There's too much to be one thing. I agree with the Tony Weeks and some scorecards here and there and shit. It's just such a shitty fucking week for boxing, Steve. My God. Oh, here's one. The off-key two-person rendition of the Philippine national anthem from the Casimiro card. If for some reason you happen to run across that, it was like between the second and the third fight. That was pretty good. And there was also a guy on that card whose first name, as best I could tell, I think you might have saw it, is Piss on You. So that was.
I tell you what, I found weird actually to have Mr. and Mrs. Rachel, Mr. and Mrs. Nonito Donaire on the broadcast, calling a fight against a guy that Donaire was raging about because did Casimiro say something about his wife or something, and then like Donaire literally lost his shit with him like on an interview.
Oh yes, that's right.
I ain't getting you no fucking payday, motherfucker. I've never seen Donaire lose his shit like that, man. So I thought it was quite interesting that the two of them were calling his fight.
Yeah, that's a good point. And he was shitting all over Sean Gibbons and everything. That's right.
Yeah.
No, Nonito's a very evolved human being. He knows how to mellow out, not let it affect everything. We could all learn from that.
My greatest prediction ever, that was Rigo to school, fucking Nonito. Shouting from the rooftops to us. No one understood back in those days.
I hated that so much, Rob. But one of the funniest fucking things ever in retrospect is going from that weigh-in when Donaire was telling Rigo to look him in the eye, and then that was the eye that got fucking damaged by the shot from Rigo in the 12th round. That was pretty fucking class.
It was fucking. I just remember my dad going by the 8th round, "This is fucking boring as fuck." I said, "Shut up, you! Fuck, always the same. Fuck's sake."
That fight was fucking AIDS on ice, more or less, though. It was.
Tried to job Rigo in the card 114, 113. I can remember one of the cards being.
Oh,
I
want to give a quick shout out to fucking avid listener, fucking Ricky Gravel. He was spotted on the timeline this week with a nice new jacket, and he had a Plumber Terrier in the in the picture, and he mentioned that it was a Plumber Terrier. So Plumber Terriers are like a kind of a fucking specially bred terrier dog that kind of have Jack Russell and Beagle and bits of Staffordshire Terrier in them, and their like speciality is catching rats. But basically, my dad was a dog enthusiast, and he got like the first Plumber Terriers into Ireland. So Ricky and Ricky's dad and me dad have kind of something in common in terms of dog breeding. But I went in to see my dad. He has dementia, as you know. I went in to see him during the week to tell him like John Ryder had fought Canelo, like, because my dad's first cousin is John Ryder's granddad or whatever, like, so he would have followed his career or whatever. So it's funny, I was telling him anyway, I was like, oh, like, he didn't win or whatever, but he got a good payday, he did well in the fight or whatever. And he goes to me, what was the other fella we used to watch? And I was like, I don't know that. Who are you talking about? I was like, Chavez or whatever. Like, and he's standing next to him and he's on the bed and he does like a fucking shoulder roll. Your man with the long arms, very hard to hit him. I was like, Mayweather. Yeah, Mayweather. He's doing the fucking shoulder roll on the bed. For fuck's sake.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah. Prime shoulder rolling. Rob, any more nominations from you there, please?
No, it's just Big John, like, wasn't it? Like, he talks so much about what he's going to do. He takes his top off at the fucking other Misfits card, and then he's out the ring after Jake Paul. He's going to fucking sort everyone. But as soon as the fucking payday's in jeopardy, he's the fucking UN peacekeeper, like Big John Fury. So really only that. And the whole fucking Misfits thing, it's an absolute fucking disgrace, as Ozzy would say. The two lads fucking at combined weight of 57 stone could have easily died, like, at any point in that fight. Honestly, like, what would you do? Like, what would the fucking PBA do at that stage? So it's
5 foot bankruptcy, I would imagine.
Basically, that whole shit show. Like.
And
then, like, Jim Gray as well.
They're so big, you think they should have druids dragging them to Stonehenge.
Jim Gray has to go as well. I've been a massive Jim Gray fan over the years. I thought he's always called it like he sees it. But I feel like now he just wants to fucking put the fighters on the spot too much. Like, and him as a verbal spar versus Rolly Romero is a mismatch, like, you know, that way. Yeah. And he's just coming across like an old cunt these days. So I think Jim Gray has to go. Isn't he though? Like, I loved him over the years, like, but like,
no, I've noticed that too. It used to be a balance, but now he seems to be doing it every week.
Yeah, he just needs to go now, Jim Gray.
Off you go, Jim. See you later. Yeah, talking to post-fight interviews, I'll give Alimkhanuly a nomination as well. Andy, he makes Joe Joyce sound like Tony Robbins. He's terrible, though.
Your man, fucking Ronello and Bernstein were absolutely incredulous last night with that fucking decision, man.
Mamma mia.
They were quite restrained. I think they kind of checked themselves a wee bit because they were like, "What the fuck happened? What's happened here?" I'm sure somebody got heard in the background. It was the other fight, the ESPN fight. Tim Bradley got heard about the referee saying it was a shocking stoppage. Yeah.
I think they got to be careful because didn't Teddy Atlas say that he can't go to ringside commentary anymore because he kept on saying corruption every time. It was a bad decision. So I think they're playing the Teddy Atlas playbook there a little bit.
Right, let's look over them. Excuse me. Where are we? Oh yeah, the Misfits. Shout out to Boogie and Wings of Redemption. They were the first nominations. KSI landing the elbow on the Millionaire. Yep, we had the Fat Guys. We had Elusive Raph. He's in favour of it all, as he might be. He'll be on the telly soon, I bet you. Conor Brent crying in the Femi bin. We got Ebbs, Team Stream. Rick Glazer got a nomination as well. The Doctor, who had a premonition about Tank Davis knockout. Oh yeah, the box rec from YouTubers now, apparently. Someone sent this in as well. There's a box rec, YT box rec for YouTube influencers. Salt Pappy.
Box rec might sue them for that one, though.
Steve, can we put all of the Misfits stuff into one? I feel like that's essentially like one big nomination at the end of the day, rather than split between the big titty guys, the elbow, and the Cooch Cod missile. I think it's all.
Of course you can. I'm only going in this lineage because it's just easier to click on one button after another. You see, that's what.
Okay.
In order of what was sent to me, but yes,
Steve,
absolutely.
will you consolidate this shit? Fucking fuck's sake.
Merge the
Okay,
Steve.
right. I'm going to move him on up. Here we are.
Merge them together in one.
Here we are. Okay, there we go. No. AB got a nomination.
Yes.
Shalom. Graham Houston going in on DAZN. We got Bunsey getting nominated too. Frotch as well. We had the Alien and old Chippy Tits, and shout out to the girl with the fish in her knickers, like the new girl of the dragon tattoo, isn't it? That and Joe Burns doing the Porky impression. Those are all the nominations for this week. Rob, who you going for?
Sorry, I had a late nomination for IFL. IFL are getting absolutely hammered in the comments and on Twitter and on their YouTube channel for being the fucking main purveyors and fucking promoters of this Misfits card. And they've got little Joe Parsons, their latest fucking Umar type character, who's a bit of a Cockney wide boy or something, isn't he? Has like kind of his young chap, little chubby lad with a kind of a Gucci bag, man bag or whatever. But he's interviewing Elle Brooke. Anyway, the interview, I don't want to spend too long on it, but anyway, the interview ended up with basically Elle Brooke telling Charlie Parsons, is it Charlie Parsons or fucking something else? Telling your man Parsons anyway that he could go in deeper with the microphone inside her at the end of the fucking interview, because he kind of like gives Elle Brooke an interview, asks her about the fights, and then basically like his little fucking mindset takes over and he starts having to ask her who she fancies and that at the arena, and then all of a sudden the microphone's fucking in deep, like, so I don't know, but fucking IFL is scraping the bottom of the barrel at the moment. Like, fuck me. We wouldn't even do that, like, you know what I mean? We've had fucking what's her name on, Rachel Ball on. We never fucking ended up trying to fucking place the microphone anywhere. We just let her talk, you know what I mean?
Judy Fitzgerald, did they follow her bodybuilding career?
Yeah, we didn't ask Judy to see, you know what I mean? We just let her fucking talk. So learn how to speak to women, IFL TV.
Yeah, like Gareth Davis either, but do you shower before a fight?
Yeah, like if anyone was going to ask Elle Brooke, could have fucking bury a microphone in her, you would have thought it'd be the Gad, wouldn't you? But it's not. Parsons ever stealing the limelight there. What kind of talk is that? Fuck me. Like, fucking get a life, IFL.
We want to know the real person inside you.
Right, Rob, who you going for? Come on. Episode 523.
Time for bed.
Fucking
in the morning.
All of them. Who gives a fuck? I don't know.
Fuck this sport, right?
Ben Shalom for fucking. He don't know what the fuck he's doing. Ben Shalom is my nomination.
That's who I'm going for as well, Steve.
Ooh.
Ben Shalom. He's actually dragged that shit out. The purse bud got called about 2 months ago. He takes it up to the final day and decides to fucking pull it, even after bidding for it. I think somebody else even pulled up a video. I don't know how old it was, whatever than that. But anyways, definitely Ben Shalom, the guy who never knew that the sport needed by has come in here and just started just how the sport goes on. Complete shite. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot to admit, someone sent me this and I didn't get it uploaded in time. Actually, Isaac Lowe and Prince Patel were having a back and forth again. Isaac went down to London apparently to confront him and gripped him up, and security pulled him off and all this apparently.
Fucking hell!
Should have thrown a chair.
Win on both counts.
I forgot to mention that one. Two for Ben Shalom. Matty, who you going for?
That's got to be the Misfits card. Too much in one fucking setting, dude. Oh my god.
That's what I was going to go for as well, the fatties.
Look at these little arms.
Oh, we needed that.
Sorry. Bring everybody around again. Yeah, shout out to Ben Shalom and shout out to the fatties.
I'd be like Lanares if she was my pad trainer, by the way.
Probably gonna tell me she's fighting in Spain and ruin her for me too.
Vamos, Roberto.
El Brunto Armento.
Right, yes. Shout out to Misfit Card and shout out to Ben Shalom. You're both winners of Belly of the Week for episode 523. And what else did we have? Dr. FMG threw in the 15.
Look at John O'Carroll looking at your man. Look at him.
Is that actually John O'Carroll?
Don't know. Feels like it should be if it's not him.
It looks like him, doesn't it?
It's like he knows the mystery has been solved as to who stole his sandwich at this point in time. That's the look on his
Why
face.
is the other guy so sad? He was the eventual winner. What's up?
Because he's looking at himself fucking half naked on stage. This is the moment in his life he's like, I have to do something.
Your man on the left is me whenever we get to episode 953 or something.
This is.
He's
You know what's
gonna
fucking
go into a
scary?
game hibernation.
This is after 12 weeks training as well, by the way.
That's what I was thinking. How can you be that bad?
So what is it? Could be 40 odd stone then? Didn't what? 35.
The weight cut really had an effect on the guy on the right, I think.
It looks like Jared if the Subway diet didn't work.
Wasn't there one of the fighters back in the day? It was like Chauncey Welliver or Gabe Brown or something. They couldn't record his actual weight because the scales only went up to like 450 pounds, and he was over that. So they had to just guess.
So terrible and mean.
Like that.
These two look like
get a hold of their weight, take better care of themselves.
These two look like a hallucination that Devin Haney is having while he's trying to make weight.
The Oasis. Oh man, right. I'm gonna have to end it, I'm afraid. But the show, I mean,
no, we should just end it all, Steve. We should just end it all. You said it, man. That was the subconscious talking.
Just decide to eat your way out. You're in credit, Steve.
The news is if those guys got stuck together on a deserted island, at least one of them would live fucking well for fucking years to come.
Right, shout out to the boys, shout out to everybody who's come on tonight. The Dr. FMG who threw in the super chat, and
which one of them is? What are they going to pull out of their knickers? Them two.
Sausage.
A dolphin. Oh, shout out to the boys who upgraded their super chat this week as well on patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. Kyle Crawford, Michael Thompson, Matt Butters, Brendan Hack, and Des Watson all upgraded their super chat pledges this week. They're loving it that much. They're loving it that much. Why not? They want to stay around for the banter. So shout out to them. Shout out to Rapping Rob Kelly as well, who's joined us tonight. Andy Patterson, Matty DiGialinardo. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, leave us a comment if you want on the way out. Matty will be in the red hot seat for episode 524 next week. I'm looking forward to Lomachenko versus Haney. Look out for a Nuthouse chat dropping on the SoundCloud this week as well, just to keep you all going. I've been Steve Wellings. See you all same time, same place next week, and bye.
We'll never forget.
I think that's good happening.
Go to animals!
We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking wank that can fight me.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep. You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7-year ain't it? 7-year ain't it? I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love Boxing Asylum. It's as simple as that.